The agenda was posted on Thursday.
Sorry about that.
The agenda was posted on Thursday, January 30th, 2025 at 3:30 p.m. And a supplemental agenda was posted on Friday, January 31st, 2025 at 3:55 p.m.
Thank you. All right, let's stand brief for a moment of silence, and we'll have Veteran Service Officer Steve Hernandez lead us in the pledge.
Please join in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. At this time, if there's any members of the public that want to address the court at this time, please come forward. You're allowed up to 3 minutes to do so. Mr. Urbanowski? If you would come up here and just state your name and your address.
My name is Patty Urbanowski. My address is 1835 Kirkland Hill Road, Axtell, Texas. We've lived on our property for the last 15 years. We're in Precinct 3. The road we live on is 1.7 miles long, and it has approximately 36 homes on it. We've had problems with our road since we moved there, and we've tried to address them by going to our commissioner, reporting our issues, but haven't had a very good response. So we sent an email asking the commissioner to address our road and, assess it and make a plan to help correct it. It has at least 300 potholes in it. No one ever responded to our email, so we came back here to the commissioner's office and we spoke with the lady and told her we had sent the email, never got a response. And, we'd just like somebody to look at it for us. And she said, "Oh, we got your email." I said, "Well, we haven't received any response." Finally, after that visit, we did get a phone call. And what we had asked was the commissioner to ride down the road with us to see how bad it is. And we had been promised for years that the road, would be repaired. A couple of months after the email, they finally started trying to repair the road, but it was more of a patch job. And I feel sure that a lot of money was spent in repairing it, but it didn't do any good because apparently it was either not done properly or was only meant to take care of it for a short period of time. And it's just gotten to the point where, to me, it's dangerous. People on the road now move this way, that way, just to avoid the potholes. And at some point, there may be an accident because of it or damage to your vehicles. All I'm asking is someone to look at it, decide what would be a long-term fix for the road.
Thank you very much.
you.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else?
How y'all doing this morning?
Fine.
Name's Robert Urbanowski. That's my boss. We live at 1835 Kirkland Hill Road. Want to address Mr. Jones. We did email him, never got a word back. 4 months ago, we came to his office, talked to a lady, gave him my name and address, phone number, no phone call. Came back again 2 months ago. Same thing, name, address, phone number, no return. I just think it's not professional at all, Mr. Jones, that you don't respond at all. I mean,
Is it okay for me to address this or not?
It's not on the agenda, so I think appropriately would be to contact them after.
I mean, yeah, I spoke with y'all a couple years ago,
2 years ago, yes, sir.
and
Have you been on the road lately?
not since I was with you.
Exactly, that's why we came to you.
And
Y'all
so
probably-
I apologize if, if there's. if there-
Apologies, Mr. Jones, don't get it. I mean, after three
I mean,
contacts.
I don't know how I didn't get the message or the email
Right.
or anything like that. I thought the road was on the list, but again, we can't really get into the details
Right,
of that
that's fine.
here. So
Y'all did come
my
out.
office will be reaching out to y'all immediately about that. I'm sorry that
Okay.
that you feel like you have to come to Commissioners Court. And,
Okay, 2 years ago, y'all did come out. Y'all brushed it. There was no preps to the potholes, and like my wife said, it's 1.7 miles, and we stopped counting at 300 plus potholes from 6 inch, 2 foot, 30 inch, 5, 6 inch deep. To brush it and then just lay asphalt over it is a piss poor job. You've got to
and I
address
think
the
that was,
potholes
I think
first.
that was done as a stopgap. And then we have a process where we go through and, reclaim the road, take it back down, put a base in.
Right.
And, I mean, that
Well,
that
in
takes a
my
little
opinion,
while.
it's just a waste of money. I mean, there was 12, 15 loads of asphalt, and it looks great when you blade it, but when you got a pothole this big and round, that deep, and you blade 6 inches of asphalt over it, you don't pack it in the hole. Each hole should have been addressed, filled, packed, and then put a layer over it.
Well, actually, what needs to happen is that road needs to be completely reclaimed. It needs to it needs to be dug up
Well, it would,
and then packed down, a new base put in, because you've had base failure all over the
Right.
place. And I'm not sure what, I know that I asked the crew to put it on the list, and I don't know why.
and I'm not blaming the crew, but, it's like the guys didn't want to shovel asphalt, put it in a hole. I mean, you can't pour asphalt in it. You got to shovel it in it, pack it, and then put a layer over it. I mean, to prep a little bit, and it's just a waste of taxpayers' money, our money. We were in business in West 42 years, pay taxes out the tail. And it's just not professional not to get an answer or a call, email just saying, go to hell, kiss my whatever. But just to be
There must have
ignored,
been
Mr.
some sort of,
Jones.
must have been some sort of mistake or something, because I don't recall
3 times
after
after y'all passed it. But
Okay, I think we've
After I,
exhausted time.
2 years ago,
Yeah.
I mean,
I
Appreciate you.
appreciate your time, but
Thank you.
I'd like to invite each one of y'all to come out and drive that road. You'll see the worst repaired road in McLennan County, probably in the state. It's just a waste of money, but thanks for y'all's time.
Thank you. All right, anyone else want to speak to the court on business matters? We all want to speak.
You can go up there. You want to come up? I don't want to feel like I'm speaking over them. That's my husband. You guys have a huge agenda, so I really appreciate you taking time. We just have a trouble with, we're on 432 Dosher. My name's Joni Lewis. My husband's Brian Lewis. And we have a problem. It's like that cut through that goes along Highway 6. You guys are probably pretty familiar with it.
Is that precinct 1?
It's
Four,
Mr.
okay.
Perry's. I've contacted him quite a few times with no response. We've had like multiple accidents. My neighbor got T-boned with kids in the car. And now we have a trucking company that opened up. So the trucking company doesn't have like a real address. Its address is 7700 Highway 6. But they've opened up a back driveway. So the back driveway is into the residential street now, and they're using my front yard because they can't make the egress out of that. The ingress and the egress is too small for them. So we've got a whole trucking company, 30 trucks coming and going now. All the neighbors are kind of affected and up in an uproar. I did bring you lots of photos, so you can take a peek at these. I just really looking for some help. Sheriff's Department says they can't help. They don't have the manpower. The Commissioners Court, I did talk to the assistant for Mr. Perry, and she was helpful, but she says she can't do anything, and so I'm kind of just, I don't know where to go from here. So somebody suggested talking to you guys, so I thought I'd come in and just provide you with the photos so you can kind of see what we're dealing with. And my front yard is on here, along with the accident pictures. I did get quite a few, and that's just the last 6 months. These are just the photos I have. There's a lot that I don't have photos of. So I don't know who I would give this to.
Yeah, give it.
Francis, just pass it right there.
Yeah, I'm very, very familiar with that road. You know, being a
Yeah.
high patrolman, we had many crashes on that road, so.
Yeah, they put a wire so the Highway 6 can't cross over
Sure.
again. The road's tore up from the trucks now. It's sunk down probably a good 8 inches. But I would prefer the road to stay like that because it's slowing down the speeders. And then we have no through truck signs on either end, but he's gotten around it by putting in that back driveway.
Do you know, is there any signs on there that says no through trucks?
On both ends.
On both ends?
Yeah, and then they have speed limits on 40. I still think everybody thinks it's too high. So the mapping and engineering department is going to go back and see who set the speed limit.
Yeah,
But
that's the
it's
way it
not lit up at night, so you can't see on either direction what the speed limit is.
Okay. Well, Commissioner Perry is out today, but his assistant's on, she's listening, and
Okay.
said that she'd talked to y'all, I think, 2 days ago.
Yeah, I kind of understanding how everything fits together, so, yeah, the sheriff can only enforce what the commissioner says is enforceable.
Right.
And just for your information, the guy that opened that up, everybody's kind of saying they're not the owner. Can't really pin him down, but he said he has the commissioner's blessing, is what he told me.
Yeah, well.
So, the guy with the Kingery Properties.
That's probably Commissioner Wilson, probably a DPS issue, wouldn't it be? Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that before,
Okay,
too.
we'll-
Yeah. That'd be awesome if you guys could get back to me, though. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, appreciate it. Anyone else?
Chime in, Brian Lewis.
I guess we need to have a rule on double teaming.
I'm only picking up what somebody else was playing before, but I promise not to be yelling, but didn't know if we should be sitting together or I should just come up.
Just
after.
don't contradict her is the main thing.
Yes, sir. 432 Dosher Lane, my wife Joni. I'm Brian Lewis. Other key points to that is that industrial complex that is on the other side of the road from us that is, had been previously fenced off to Dosher Lane. They have frontage road and access off of 6. Why that's not being utilized, not exactly clear. The no through truck signs, were posted. I'm not looking to impact somebody's business, but, if they're gonna be on that road, widening the road, making it usable. It's a pretty tight road just in itself, and with the speed that people do travel on it in the afternoons. After the accidents, we talked with the Department of Public Safety, we talked to the Sheriff's Department, asking for additional patrols. They both extremely profess that they're well understaffed and they're well aware of the speed.
So which the police departments?
The Sheriff's Department and the Department of Public Safety, during the accidents that have occurred on the street, we've gone out, been nice, cordial, and talked to them, and, kind of asking if, hey, if they ever do get free time, during peak hours in the morning and the afternoon especially, to, hey, just swing, just a little bit of a presence, tends to slow people down. Not looking to get everybody pulled over, but, a lot of times, you see the lights, you tend to slow down a bit.
So the no-through truck is a enforcement issue that we will address. And then the other issue is speed limit, and that we'll have our engineers to reach out if the community, if that area, is that something they want to do to adjust that, then there has to be a hearing, which is no big problem, and we do all that, depending on which jurisdiction it's in, I guess.
And then, so last on the speed side, coming off of McLaughlin Road, as you come down Dosher, heading to the, I guess, either to the north, there's a Highway 6 freeway sign that just angles towards Dosher Lane, marking 50 miles an hour. And then approximately 20, 30 yards past it, you'll see a very small 40 mile an hour speed limit sign. So as you come onto Dosher Lane, you know, you're coming off of that turn, you got this big sign saying 50, but even though it's off the left, yes, it should be placed on the right. But maybe if it was angled a little more towards just Highway 6, it wouldn't grab those individuals' eyes as they're on Dosher Lane.
Okay.
Thank you all so much for your time.
Thank y'all, appreciate it. All right, anyone else want to speak to the court on business matters?
You want this back?
No, that's for Commissioner Perry and Chrissy. All right. Well, Dustin's not here to keep me in line. We kind of got out of the rules there. Okay, if there's not anything else, going to items D under proclamations and resolutions. There will be a resolution that we'll read. Is it in this agenda
It's
item?
under the legislative part of it.
Okay, let's go ahead, if you would, read that into the minutes, and I'll make some comments on it, but I probably need to preface it. So as you know, water is a big issue, and the water can be a limiting factor on many things, including growth and economic development and all those things. And even though we have multiple sources of water in McLennan County, there's already challenges of getting the water to where it's needed, and also the cost of delivery and those kind of things. For the long run, we need to be thinking way ahead of time in the next generation, or even in the next 10 or 15 years, to have some things in place. Infrastructure is the key to moving water. The idea of this concept is created by primarily Bell County Judge David Blackburn, who's also on the Brazos G, which is Brazos River Authority subcommittee that I'm on as well. Through proper legislation, we can get the authority through the legislation to create an alliance, and it's going to be called Central Texas Water Alliance. The ideal of it would be to bring water outside the region into our region. It would be additional water on top of what we already have. And there is and this would be groundwater, and it'd be coming out of the Carrizo aquifer. There's several different layers of the Carrizo, but primarily in East Texas, and it recharges very efficiently, where the Trinity does not recharge efficiently at all. And it's hundreds, if not more, years before a cup of water up here ends up a cup of water in the groundwater. So first step, there's no obligation in this, but first to create the alliance. And so we have put together, primarily be led by McLennan and Bell County, to bring a few other surrounding counties in, like Falls County is critical in this as well, because how the pipeline could come across there. And all the way over west to Coryell County. Once the alliance is allowed to be created, then at that point, all the planning can start. There need to be some, of course, engineering, marketing studies, and those kind of things to start buying water rights, and then transmission is the next thing. And over the next 5 to 10 years, there would be, if you wanted to stay in it, then there'd be an opportunity to cost share the transmission of this water and distribute it out. So it's a long-range plan. The only thing this does is to allow, is a resolution asking State Representative Buckley, who represents Bell County, State Senator Pete Flores, it's Bell County. State Senator Brian Birdwell, McLennan County, and State Representative Pat Curry, who are all on board to support this. It would be called a local bill, so there's a high chance of it passing. There shouldn't be any opposition to it because there's no financial obligation by anyone. It's more of a concept and a plan. So Reagan, if you would, read the resolution, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Okay, and it's agenda item N4A, a resolution of the Commissioners Court of McLennan County, Texas, in support of the state legislation to create the Central Texas Water Alliance. Whereas McLennan County recognizes that citizens, communities, and businesses depend upon access to a reliable and sustainable water supply and water infrastructure to thrive. And whereas access to a secure and clean water supply and preservation of natural resources through responsible water management practices is critical to public health. And whereas McLennan County is committed to a regional water source that can support sustainable economic growth and ensure future generations have resilient and reliable water resources. And whereas McLennan County understands that no single entity in the region can adequately address or meet these needs. And whereas McLennan County recognizes that an alliance of entities from across the region is the best means to secure adequate, equitable, sustainable, and resilient water supply and water infrastructure for the future. And whereas McLennan County believes that the creation of the Water Authority would be in the county's best interest to meeting the water supply and water infrastructure needs of the region. And now therefore be it resolved that the Commissioners Court of McLennan County, Texas hereby supports the creation of a water authority, the Central Texas Water Alliance, for our Central Texas region as a means of commitment towards securing our water futures and addressing the pressing needs of growth, development, and public safety. Witness our hand and seal this 4th day of February 2025.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions anyone would have? All right.
I guess what impact would this have to the county taxpayer?
Well, so that depends on what we decide to invest in. If we decide to go forward and invest in the cost of the transmission and all that, bringing that water into this county, it would, and what we do, the financial vehicle is Water Development Board. We sell the bonds for the entity. And so everybody would, like if we chose to stay in it and the money starts being spent, then we would be obligated for our pro rata share. But that's yet to be determined. This just creates the alliance, and then from there, the plans will be made. The court will make all the decisions. Each county court would make a decision whether they'd be in or not. If they are, then they would need to make a financial obligation to do so.
And we're not obligating any water that we had to share, any water that we rights or anything like that we
No.
currently have
No,
with
each,
with this alliance.
no,
per se.
it'd be more of us getting a share of new water coming in, not sharing our water.
I think the governor spoke to it in his State of the State address. How water is critical to the growth of our state, and certainly drilling down to our county, no doubt about it, that the future growth of our county is dependent upon adequate supply of water. And I think it's very important, and I think anything that we can do to bring that to fruition is important. So I certainly support any efforts that direction.
Well, besides debt, there's also possibly grant money that'll be out there.
Sure.
And in fact, there's a representative in here from Grant Works that, we're looking for state and federal money to keep the local taxpayers from having to carry burdens of a broad benefit like this.
Well, even when you talk to builders and homeowners, that some
water companies just can't give them water meters because they're out, you know, they can't afford to push more water,
So
so,
the term conjunctive use
Yes.
is the solution to that.
yes, sir.
And already the city of Waco is extended lines into rural areas and other water to use that water to blend in.
Yes, sir.
And of course, a good example is to help us solve the arsenic issues in eastern McLennan County.
Yes, sir.
I think the fact that we've already expended, made one of the priority items of our ARPA funds, water for our county, regardless of the need, whether it was arsenic or anything else.
Right.
Backup generators, I think speaks to how this court feels it's important. So I think it's important that we be a part of this and move forward and see what happens.
Well, according to the Bell County judge, that McLennan County set the example in creating the McLennan County Water Resource Group to start addressing these, I think it was 10 years ago when we established that, so.
Good.
All right,
Do we need a motion to adopt the resolution?
I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second? A motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right, thank you. I'd like to go to item, well, first of all, on the consent agenda, the recommended pulls are E3A and E3B. E3A is HR matter for County Court of Law 3, and E3B is HR matter for Highway 6 Jail. I'd like to hold those, hold those out for approval, and I would entertain them, unless there's other pulls recommended by the court, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of those pulls previously mentioned.
Move to approve the consent agenda with the exception of E3A and E3B.
All right, is there a second? Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. All right, I'd like to go to item M1. This is on the Heart of Texas Fair Expo Event Center update from Populous Incorporated and Architectural Services Optimization and Future Development Market for financial analysis. So I think, Wes, are you going to do any presenting? And
I
then,
think I'll just answer any questions once the bill gets done.
okay, so we have Bill Bourne on here with Populous. Morning, Bill. Long
Hey,
time
good
no
morning.
see.
Thank you, Court. Yeah, good to see you, Judge,
Thank you.
Commissioners. Thank you. Am I able to share my screen just to have an update here?
I'm talking to the wrong guy.
We think so. Try it.
Try it.
All right, see what happens.
Okay, hello.
Yep.
Okay, looks
There
like,
it is.
okay, sharing screen. And
Okay.
yeah, my name is Bill Bourne. We also have Derek and Charlie from Hunden Partners. So
Okay.
I'm an architect with Populous and have been involved in planning with the Heart of Texas Fairgrounds Extraco Event Center and the McLennan County Venue Plan since around 2015, and was involved with the base architectural design and construction. And then we brought Hunden on to reevaluate the market in McLennan County and Central Texas for, now that the base is built, what could be, next opportunities with the site and what the needs are. So we started off in October. We both Hunden and Populous visited the Heart of Texas Fair and Rodeo, looking at crowd control, concert entertainment, the exhibits, the layout of the fair. Then we had a 2-day kickoff meeting in December with various stakeholders, certainly the Heart of Texas Fair, the Extraco board, and others. And then from then through January to date, Hunden has been involved in other market research and follow-up. And now today we're presenting the update of where we are to the court and what we've found and where we're going. During that 2-day workshop, we did talk to over 54 individuals. You could see the various groups we touched on that were able to attend. Some of the high level takeaways were if we build it, that Wes and his team will be able to fill it. The base has been really successful, and even, from livestock, equestrian events, and then the business, arts, sports, entertainment, really focus on those, looking at, there's the 3 weeks of the fair that are really important, the biggest event that the site hosts, but also how do we make and enhance the other 49 weeks of the year, and really, looking to create a destination here at the Extraco Event Center and tying back, through our market research and what looks proposed in the master plan to align with, community responsibility. And overall, making what is currently done well, make what is done better to focus on those. These are just some of the area, a lot of things we aggregated what we heard through those in terms of what came up in every meeting. Certainly the multi-use was the overall, hot topic of no matter what is built or renovated needs to serve multiple purposes. And that involves, maybe redoing flooring. So there's concrete floors, looking at seating, how do meeting rooms get added on, as well as, restroom and food and beverage enhancements. Hotel, restaurant, retail are certainly something that, Hunden's looking at what the market can hold and what opportunities are afforded from events at the Extraco Event Center and beyond. So a handful of, topics there, certainly looking at parking, and these are going to be areas of, we're testing out what really fits and what is needed on the site. And then we, broken down into 3 categories between existing buildings, new buildings, what the potential would be, looking at, is there another multi-purpose arena, kind of smaller size, somewhere between, the show pavilion and the Coliseum, that could allow for multiple events happening at the same time on site, including, equestrian and livestock events, but then also that the Coliseum may be used as a ticketed show venue. And then certainly the site, overall customer experience, having people stay on the site longer, getting, access to the site, making that easier with better parking, looking for ways to incorporate green space as well as commercial development. And then, from that, key takeaways from the kickoff meeting, Hunden has been, following up with people we met with and other people that in the community and other stakeholders to really round out the research to drive their market recommendations and findings. And then kind of where we're going, next steps, again, here today, February 4th, this update to the court. February 11th, Hunden will have their draft market research report, which we'll review with Wes and his team. And then from there, identify time in March for a planning workshop based on those recommendations, and then a potential another second Commissioners Court update. And thank you. That's what we have today. Judge and Commissioners, certainly open to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions?
What's the status of the Lions Park property? Where does that all fit into this? I haven't been in 2020. There was a group that was brought together to look at Lions Park, and it's just gone away. It's never materialized. Nothing's happened. So just wondering what the status of the corner and the Lions Park. I know the school looks great. School is, it is. They shot that thing up in, very quickly, and makes that whole it looks a lot better.
I think they've presented a couple of concepts to the city council for Waco.
But I'm talking about the property. I'm not talking about any concepts. There were some
And you talk about the old
swaps
Lions
and
Park?
things.
Yeah, where the old pool used to be and
The
everything.
pool.
Yeah, they presented a couple of park concepts
Kitty
To
Land.
the city, because I
all
guess
that.
all that belongs to the city of Waco, I assume.
It's all designated parkland too, so it would take a vote of the public to change that not being parkland anymore. So it's my understanding, Commissioner, that based on the group we were with, you and I both were on, and then some of the presentations that were done later, that the intention of the city is to look at that as a community park that would connect to the county's facility, i.e. the Heart of Texas Fair Complex, Extraco Event Center, probably with looking at closure of 42nd Street or a limited access of 42nd Street, and that's the extent of my knowledge as far as what we've talked about with city management from a standpoint of what, as they've asked us questions about where's our next step as, from our facility and the county and all that kind of stuff.
But so this would be the property that we're talking about in our next move would it be the property that goes from the base over to 42nd, or is it, and then?
It would be the entire, so the plan that Bill and Hunden, Charlie are working on would be to do the entire property and look at it in another overall master plan, just like we presented in 2015 or I guess 2016 when we presented that to the citizens to pass the venue tax in 2017. And so this is an update of that entire plan and looking at how what's best utilization, best for creating economic impact, and does not involve, other than if there is some connection there from the court to the city council, as to how that conversation happens with what happens with the current Lions Den, the current senior center that's there, as well as the Lions Park. There has been conversation as recently as in these wrap-up meetings about maybe that footprint needs to change from a city standpoint, but ultimately that would be something that you gentlemen, as well as the city council, would have to.
So nothing's changed?
Nothing's changed. Absolutely.
No, we're not anywhere closer to, other than just schematics and.
Right.
Who owns the Lion Den?
The city does. So
City
that
does.
city property there, the Harrison House and Lions Den belongs to the city. And then you have the parking lot to the north of that, between there and the school on Colcord, at the corner of Colcord and 42nd, that belongs to y'all. So,
Well, and I know these gentlemen probably know about it, but Rich Field was a very, significant thing that happened in Waco in World War I. So, and the Lions Den, if you walk in that building, that's one of the original building is surrounded by that new building. So that's to me, a historical part of Waco. That doesn't need to go away. If anything, that needs to be, incorporated into something. And a lot of history was made out in the Rich Field and training World War I pilots, so.
yeah, there's been some conversations about that, Bill. I know there may have been some conversations that I remember, I think, in the room about what do you do with the old front end of the Lions Den?
Yes.
Because that's the original portion.
Yes.
Petrified wood and everything built.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the old original flagpole is in the quadrangle at Waco High. The old wooden flagpole is still there. In this list that we're listed here, multi-use building, hotel, restaurant, storage, coliseum, parking, what is wayfinding?
Just how you get around the grounds.
Okay.
Signage.
Let's give you a map?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think oh, go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, well, again, what we saw during the fair too, there's been, since the base was built, that Wes and his team have improved signage around the perimeter, but also when you're in the grounds, whether on the site or within another building, how do you know where you're at, and if you need to get to another building, where's the best direction to get there?
Okay, all right.
We're
I
blessed.
wasn't sure what.
Yeah, well, we're blessed to have an opportunity that is really important to our facility, being able to host multiple events in a weekend. And so I think when we look at addressing that for when you get there, depending on what event you're headed to, how do you get there? What do you do? How do you, those kind of things are really, really important to just customer service and being able to offer the best experience for our customers. So being diligent about how we put our signage out and what that looks like. But unfortunately, we can't teach people to read. So that doesn't always do any good, so.
Do you foresee paving the, that parking lot that we were just talking about from 42nd over to the base?
Every inch we can get away with paving is what
That'd be great.
I
I mean,
so,
that's just,
yeah.
it's just such a mess.
Yeah, I think any paving.
Now that the tower is gone.
Thank you very much for
we
that,
spent-
by the way. We appreciate that.
Spent a lot of money and
Missed that tower.
Ken spent a lot of time. You know, that was
Yeah,
quite the undertaking.
I think much as we need to address the paving in the east lot, the entire facility, it's part of what they're working on is, you know, how do we pave, what do we pave, how do we create, again, that wayfinding opportunity, that flow of traffic and those kind of things that are important, especially as we talk about additional facilities to use for public events, whether that be agriculture related or sports related or entertainment related. And what we do there is really going to be important. And so I even think that when we look at parking specifically, that the opportunity to look at multi-level parking and potentially, if there is some opportunity, you saw hotel retail, if there is an opportunity to look at public-private partnerships, much like what's happened downtown, there's an opportunity to do that on these grounds as well. And so there may be some opportunity to enhance our parking opportunities with, I just used opportunity like 17 times in that sentence. There may be an opportunity. We need to look at every way we can to park folks, because I have to address that one time a year. The rest of the time, when I have 2,000.
Well, I think it's more than one time a year.
No, I'm just saying my biggest need for parking is during the fair and rodeo.
Right. Yeah.
But I need parking that is accessible to horse trailers, because when we have 2,000 barrel racers there, we need all the room we can get to park them. And so I think the way we park and the way we look at parking on those grounds and the way that we incorporate green space in that parking needs to be looked at very carefully, because we can't put islands everywhere across a parking lot, because then it makes it very difficult to park trailers, you know, and so that's important to us. And how we segregate those parking areas is one reason why we look at multiple gates and being able to really look at diligently what Huntington's doing, what Populous is doing with how we sort those grounds and be able to accommodate multiple audiences.
And so this would include all the old Paul Tyson area and the golf range up to the
BRA.
BRA?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What's
Yeah,
the-
I think-
What's the footprint acreage-wise of what the county owns? Ballpark.
It's like 70, I think it's around 78, 70, it's almost 88.
Close to
I think so.
88.
I don't remember off the top of my head. but somewhere-
How much of that right now is just empty, do you think? How much is that like from
If you're talking no buildings on it, just
Yeah.
like parking, including the,
No, I'm talking about.
The grass areas?
The grass areas, from the old Paul Tyson, basically to BRA, and then.
yeah, so probably 20% of that, I would guess, would be grass lot. Well, I mean, the Paul Tyson area, because you used venue dollars to improve that and put a road base in there, that ultimately makes it easier to go back if we choose to pave it, or if y'all choose to pave that area at some time, it makes it easier to do that depending on where we place the new multipurpose arena. Then I think you have, about 20% is what I would guess. I've not looked at it at a map and said, okay, how much are we in green space?
There was a plat
Yes,
map
sir.
of it, I saw.
I just hadn't paid attention.
I would think we'd have to be careful putting too many buildings up and losing too many parking spaces, even though we don't need them year-round. There are certain times of the year that they are very critical
Yeah, I think.
to the Heart of Texas Fair and Rodeo.
I mean, during the fair and rodeo,
People park everywhere.
So just so you know, we will.
golf course lot is full of trailers.
Paul Tyson, well, no, it's not full of trailers. It's public parking. It has trailers on it, but not completely full. We public park on it as well. Just so you know, there's no fairgrounds in the entire world that has enough parking to accommodate their one event a year. Houston Livestock Show doesn't. Fort Worth definitely does not. So there's nobody.
I want to say one thing, okay? We have done a great job. We are, I read all the time about what poor shape NRG is in and what the what Harris County is up against on that thing. And I think that we've done a great job of not getting in that
Absolutely.
that situation.
Yes, sir.
We have a representative from Hunden on as well. I don't know if there's any comments. I believe it's Derek. Is that you have any comments?
Hello, everyone. My name's Charlie. Derek
Charlie.
had to hop off,
You look
but
like Derek.
yes, I'm with the Hunden team.
50-50, Judge.
Pardon me?
You were
Yep.
50-50.
Yeah. Pretty good.
But yes, all the comments I've agreed with so far, and we're finishing up our study, and we'll be presenting to Wes and the team next week. So
Okay.
a lot of great conversations, and we're in agreement with everything that's been said so far.
And then to circle back to us, after Hunden brings her report in, when would that be?
I believe that's scheduled for March. Is that right, Charlie? I think
Oh,
March.
okay.
Yep.
Potentially.
Yep, that sounds good.
Yeah, potentially. I don't know if it'll be Zoom or in person from that standpoint.
Okay, well, either one.
I do want to say, Commissioner Smith, that how we place buildings on those grounds are extremely important. How we look at vertical parking structures is extremely important. And ultimately, one of the reasons we have the venue tax, one of the opportunities we have, and the reason we manage the facility ultimately is to ensure that we create economic impact in McLennan County. And so when we look at these things that Bill and especially Derek and or Charlie and his team will do as far as looking at market research, how we can enhance current buildings that sit on the grounds, how we can add to that is extremely important because of the opportunities that we have to just create multiple events. We know with the base, I sit in front of this group in probably 2019 talking about, as we started that, my anticipation was that it would take at least 5 to 7 years to see us fully booked in that venue. We opened it in 21, and in 23 we were about 85% completely booked. Now we're booked 100% to 27. So when Bill talks about if you build it, we'll fill it, that may be our new theme for next year. But by the way, Mike Taywater, he's our chairman of the board, so I appreciate Mike sitting here and just being my.
Appreciate your service.
The hotel is intriguing.
Yes, sir.
A theme concept hotel where you could have a place for you to stay and put Trigger up next to you.
Yeah, exactly.
No, not really.
No, that's true. I think when you look at that, it does, you have to realize, and most people don't believe this, that when we deal with equine and livestock folks and even volleyball moms and dads and basketball moms and dads, their anticipation of staying close to a facility is great, and their need to do that, and they're not looking to stay at a low-end hotel. You don't drive a $300,000 rig down the road and stay at Motel 6. Nothing wrong with Motel 6, but that's just not where they're looking to stay. And so I think that property has to have an opportunity for us to have a public-private partnership, because that's the best and most efficient way for us to do that.
So I guess the best place for that would be the corner,
The corner of,
Bosque and New Road.
yeah, again, we don't have access to that
So that-
property.
And we don't have, that's not our.
42nd, probably
On
looking from
42nd
42nd to Gate 1, the frontage road of Bosque, that's where it's been talked about, is do you have an opportunity to develop retail space, hotel there along that road? In fact, one of our board members has said he would like to put a pizza place on that side of town, and he can't find property over there that is suitable. And so there's some true opportunities, I think, there for the court to look at how we, again, 40-year decisions for this facility, not 4-year decisions about how we can move this down the road and truly make it a destination, because that's what we want to do, is create that opportunity for walking trails, green space, incorporating what's happening potentially with the city over at Lions Park, and being able to truly create a destination that folks want to come to, show their lives. I mean, where else can you go and go play volleyball and walk down and watch a hunter jumper show happening? And so where else can we impact over 2,000 kids' lives like we will this week with the county stock show?
Excited about that this week.
And so there's a lot of opportunity there, I think, to really create the destination that we want to build.
So,
Very much so.
kind of looking retrospectively, that this started several years ago. We went through the wrestling match of getting authority to do a venue vote and for a venue tax and all that, and then we plan out ahead and figure out how to pay for it later, because if you start out with the financing, you get scared and you don't really get the vision that you need to. And so that's the plan, is to continue to plan what would be the best fit. And then from that, it's gonna be the challenge to this group to figure out, and hopefully, a lot of these things, and the plan is that it drive the increase in the amount of venue tax that comes in, because the more events that we bring outside people in, they'll stay at hotels and we get 2% of that. We've got some debt already, and, but our revenue's growing.
What is the coverage right now? How much revenue is that, when we got to like 2.5 times, it cut off certain different, do you know where we're?
It's like on the, for
on
the
ven-
bond?
Yeah, on the venue bond.
So we are at where we don't have to keep that surplus and debt service anymore.
Yeah.
I think we met that maybe a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And I have a presentation later on in the agenda
Gonna show it.
to
Okay.
go over.
We've got a
where we are
payment
right now.
due.
Yes.
In $1.8 million,
So looking at those
880 or
scenarios
something,
and
and then,
To the city?
no, it's to the bonds and,
to the city and school district.
okay, but the $1.8 million though is part of is that to the city and school, that piece, that report you sent
Yeah,
me?
we're getting ready to.
Yes,
make a
yes.
payment.
So we still have those obligations to city and to the
Yeah.
school district. And so eating at those each calendar year, and we have the interlocal, which mandates we give them 25% of the surplus, which is
Right.
what I'll present today. But we can look at other options there if we want to
So,
move that along quicker.
so anyhow, we'll have to tackle that once we see what the vision is and the estimated cost, and then how long it'll take us with the inflationary plug number that we'll have to put in to figure out, exactly when we'd start building and owing money. But, it's, I'm excited about it. It's been great, and it's gonna get greater, so, yeah.
Yeah, and the only thing I would add is we had the opportunity last week, my staff, to give a tour to the Calgary Stampede as they're building new facilities at Calgary, and they were making a swing through Texas, and so they contacted us to be able to share our vision and what we've done, and tremendous compliments to the court and the support that we have. I don't know how that works in Canada or our 51st state, whatever happens there, but the interesting thing that they said is, or one of the interesting things they said was, you have such a historic building in the Coliseum that the things that have been talked about in this, about the potential upgrades to it, and being able to create that really unique venue of history, Commissioner Wilson, like you talked about with the old Richfield area, but that building as well, is that, one of the things that we're covering from our side is to look at how we improve the Coliseum and Show Pavilion, and asking these gentlemen to do that with their teams. And so I think it's something that will need to be addressed financially from a different pot of money, obviously, because the venue does not include the Coliseum and the Show Pavilion.
Yeah,
So
right.
but very complimentary from the standpoint of what Calgary, it's pretty cool when the big kids come and
Yeah,
look at
that's
your
a big
facility
one.
and say you're doing great things.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, anything else, Wes, or,
no, sir.
Charlie?
Bill?
Thank you.
Somebody.
Okay. All right, if there's not any other questions, we look forward to additional information
Betcha.
coming in, and I would
Exciting.
accept a motion to accept this report for recording purposes.
So moved.
All right. Second. Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate it.
All right, I'd like to jump to item F2. Ken, you've got an item on F2 to go over.
Two. Oh, yeah.
I think we've shared that
And
we,
move that microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We can't hear you.
she's so quiet. I believe everyone by now understands that we found a fuel tank back here behind the courthouse. It probably dates back to the 20s, Bill?
Maybe, yeah, even pre-World War I.
And Bill Smith, Bill, why don't you come up here so we can,
In keeping with the theme of redoing the alleyway and all that, I also need to mention that tank still has fuel in it.
Goodness.
So
Building them like that anymore.
we contacted Bill Smith
before the leave?
for a quote to remove that tank from back behind there. And he's submitted a quote for that in the amount of $49,885.50. It's pretty deep in the ground, pretty much
It's in a
covered.
vault.
In a vault.
The vault, it's a concrete vault it was placed in, and it's really old concrete. It's probably hand poured and probably has really thick rebar in it. We don't have to take the vault apart, but there's about, what, a 10 inch to 1 foot thick cover over it. And so it is right next to a high-pressure gas line, or medium pressure for them, high pressure for us, that delivers into the courthouse, and it is right next to the building. So
Where exactly?
Right here in this corner over here, when you're walking down the alleyway.
That pad that's right there?
Yeah, that pad, right.
Okay.
But it's in between that pad that used to hold a chiller and the courthouse.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's even closer to the courthouse.
How was it found? How did we even find it?
Well, I think that maybe TJ could shed some information on that. Someone kind of looked in one of those manholes and.
Said, what is this?
Now, it's probably well known. Bill Pecluda probably knew it was there, but Bill Pecluda is no longer with us, and so we can't ask. But again, it's just been one of them things that hadn't been a pressing issue forever, and I feel like now, like I say, we're going to be working on the alleyway, that probably we need to get that taken care of.
Okay, and there's a list here of things that need to do to move forward. Bill's with on Smith Inland Environmental Services and been around for a long time doing a lot of environmental work around here. And
we've done numerous projects, similar projects. We've done a lot of work for the military. We've done a lot of work. We do a lot of oil field work. And we also do a lot of these types of things in very narrow spots, or there's a hazard on one side and a hazard on the other. This is a construction project, but mainly it falls under the purview of the industrial fire control. It's a explosive hazard. When you start messing with it, it becomes an explosive hazard. So since it's fuel oil, the vapor pressure is a lot lower, so it takes a whole lot a warmer temperature for to diesel fuel to make a vapor, whereas gasoline, you light it, diesel has to get up around 105 degrees. So this is a great time of year to work on this, but basically we would have to get a medium-sized excavator into the alley, and we would use a passive way to demolish the concrete. We would use you lay out a grid. Instead of getting an excavator with a big hammer on it, we're afraid that concrete chips or all kinds of things could fly and maybe hurt a window or this is next to the building that basically is the sum of all that we are in our life, a lot of affection for the courthouse. So we want to be real careful with that. We've got that gas line, but we're going to basically use a hammer drill and drill a grid of holes, and then there's a paste that's made, and you place this paste and it will expand and it'll crack the concrete, and it does pretty well. So we're going to try that first, and we believe we can get that done, and then we'll lift it out with an excavator.
how long will it take you to do this whole deal?
We think it'll take us the better part of a week. We would probably start on like Friday after work, and maybe work some during the night and over the weekend. And then if we can move quickly, we would try to get it done over the weekend. But we think it's going to take we would prepare for 7 days, and we
That's
would.
pretty quick, too.
We just really don't know what we're getting into, but it could go fairly quickly. But basically, we have to get in the vac trucks in there. We have to have the machine delivered. So it's probably about a 60,000-pound excavator.
Okay.
We're going to use it as the crane, hopefully. We've calculated this thing to weigh around 6,000 pounds without the fuel in it. So we believe we can do that with our excavator. The fallback position would get to be, maybe we would hire Wales to help us with that, but there's a lot of overhead hazards right next to the courthouse and all these things. It's very narrow, and this would be a very finesse job for anyone. And even the people delivering the excavator and the vacuum trucks and people hauling the
You got
stuff.
plenty of insurance, right?
Sorry?
You got plenty of insurance?
I hope I
And,
do.
I do
We'll
like-
see.
I do like the idea you're doing this on the weekend.
Yeah,
We're planning
Judge.
on
Not
start-
done by Monday, let me know, I'm gonna call out sick.
We're planning, we would put a fence around it. The question is, will the fire marshal allow us to block the alleyway for several days, so on and so forth, so.
Okay.
That's right there by where the judge parks.
Yeah, there should be a 5A right here. It says,
Well, I do want to say.
Commissioners and the judge out of
What
the
kind of
area.
fuel is that? Is that diesel in there?
It would be like a
It's
diesel,
old heating
probably,
fuel.
Heating oil.
Old heating oil, isn't it? Like-
it's heating oil, and that, years ago, we've plugged we plug a lot of oil wells, and we do a lot of oil field work. We've plugged a number of the South Bosque oil wells that old South Bosque field started other side of Old Lorena Road, Spiegelville Road, and it kind of went up through Twin Rivers. We plugged 24 wells in Twin Rivers years ago. And then some of that land on Barrett Road and all that field extends up there. Some of those wells are producing half a barrel a day, and they've been doing that since 1909.
Wow.
And, we plugged some wells 20 years ago out there, and there was an old refinery that was very primitive, and that refined the distillate for the fuel that was burned in the Alico building. So I assume that's what is the same oil.
Same kind of distillate?
I think it's the same, it'd be like a fuel oil number 2 or something like that. It's probably pretty nasty in there. I haven't been able to get into it, but we'll see. We'll figure it out.
Okay, any other questions?
Well, I wanted to make two statements. He intimated it, but in his time working there, the alley will be shut off. I mean, it won't be through. The other thing is, Commissioner Smith asked a good question. We do have in here that he's not supplying the backfill, but TJ and I thought when we were talking that we have trucks and we have material that we can fill the hole back in with, so we didn't ask him to put it in there. But I wanted to share that with the court in case there's any questions there.
What's your plan on that?
Well, I was hoping one of the
Precinct
precincts
three.
would volunteer to bring material over and
Precinct
put
three.
it in the hole.
Funny you should ask.
So, yeah, that's where I was headed. Okay, well, I guess we just have to
We won't,
figure that out.
Yeah, that won't be a big deal. It'll be
Okay.
temporary anyhow.
All right,
we
any
won't
other
be
questions?
tearing out the vault. We're gonna just leave the vault. So if you put something in, I would recommend it breaking some holes in the bottom of that vault so water can flow through it.
All right, any other questions?
Dynamite, work on the bottom.
What's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve the F2.
Second.
All right, I have a motion, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
All right.
We'll need a little help from the sheriff's department, the security guys here at the courthouse, and we'll work through Ken on that.
I did talk to Jeff Anderson that this was going to occur, so he's aware.
Just let me know.
Yes, sir,
Thank you all.
All right, let's go to items G1. This is regarding the current industrial business grant agreement with Unconditional Love, which is the old diaper plant, Hello Bello. Hello Bello. And we have Chris Collins here to go over G1 and H1.
Good morning.
morning.
How are y'all?
All right.
Good. So we have two agreements, G1 and H1. G1 is an assignment of the industrial business grant from Unconditional Love, Inc., operating or DBA Hello Bello, to Stradling, Yoka, Carlson, and Roth, LLP, and Hello Bello Consumer Wellness, LLC. As you'll recall, they went through, Unconditional Love went through a bankruptcy process. They've emerged out of that and sold off the assets to Hello Bello Consumer Wellness LLC. And so Stradling, Yoka, Carlson, and Roth LLP still operates and signs on behalf of the assets related to Unconditional Love. But the recipient of the benefits of the agreements will be with Hello Bello Consumer Wellness LLC. They're doing a great job out there of getting things back in a good spot. They were just named a top employer for the work that they're doing and recognized for that great work and really getting the business back to where it should be for continued longevity. And so I've had a chance to host the CEO of that organization in the community on numerous occasions. They're fully committed to the community, and so they are assuming all of the obligations and commitments from Unconditional Love and really looking forward to continued longevity and growth in Waco.
We lost no ground in that, right? I mean,
Correct.
One operation to the other, so
Yep.
they're
So-
meeting or exceeding all the.
Absolutely. They're meeting and exceeding the terms of their agreements. They're looking forward to, they've gone through a reorganization of the operations and what their primary focus is going to be and going back into, specifically into the diaper business, but the prior ownership is completely out of the business now. And Hello Bello Consumer Wellness LLC is operating successfully in the community.
All right, and let's see, that would cover both of those items, this current project agreement. Okay. All right, are there any questions?
I noticed these 2 pages we have deal a lot with the city.
There's
But the county is still.
Yes, sir. So there's a county version of, so when it comes to the program project agreement for WEDMEC, that is a joint city-county document. And so that one, and then on the industrial business grant, what happens there is that the city's agreement becomes the exhibit for the county's agreement.
Okay.
And so this is an update of documents related to that.
Okay.
Did I explain that okay, Reagan? Okay. Reagan keeps me in line just like she does with the rest of y'all, so.
All right, are there any questions on G1 and H1? All right, is there a motion to approve those items?
So moved.
Second.
Have motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
I will note that there was a slight spelling error on the program project agreement assignment, and that will be corrected and replaced, and
I
we'll
noticed
get you the
that too.
updated. Yes. So,
Thank you.
thank you, sir.
All right. Okay, let's go back to the 2 items that were pulled on the consent agenda. One is item E3A, it's a HR matter with County Court of Law 3. So, Anna, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, I have County Court at Law 3. This is Judge Atkins requesting approval to fund the dollar placeholder under the part-time budget. And the purpose of this is to be able to provide staff coverage during an upcoming medical leave they're expecting from one of their full-time employees. The leave is expected to last 3 months, and so they just want to bring someone in to help the office stay afloat during the leave of absence. The budget being requested is $6,524. The plan is to pay this temporary person coming in $15 per hour, and we've reviewed the request and can confirm the requested amount is in line with the duration of the expected leave of absence. And then this is in line with previous similar requests to fund part-time budget for the purposes of supporting a medical leave.
Okay. Any questions?
Hey, Anna, is that through a private firm, a firm, or is that somebody that they just had come in and look into that to get into this job?
So like a staffing agency?
Yeah.
We don't we wouldn't have used a staffing agency for this. We're requesting it now. The leave isn't expected until the summer, but we're doing it now to be able
Yeah.
to post and help Judge Atkins fill the position.
So the hiring will be done through HR.
Yes, we help with all of that.
Good. I hope so. And then that way, if, just put somebody else in the pot later that we might hire if she works out or he works out. And
Yeah,
then-
if they end up liking it.
Yeah, I like that.
We can try and find them a place elsewhere. I do recommend they'll likely work closer up until the end of this budget. So reevaluating the part-time need going into fiscal year 2026 would be reviewed during budget time.
I make a motion, we approve the part-time position.
All right, I'll second. Any other discussion? No other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passed. All right, going to item E3B. It's on the county sheriff.
Yes, I have this is a cleanup item from the implementation of the step pay program. The new step pay program differ slightly with which ranked positions are included in the step pay program. So in the old version, the ranks went all the way up to jail major that were included in the program. And in our new program, it only goes up to captain. And so I didn't document that well enough in budget. So I need to go back and clean that up. And so the jail major position should have cost of living adjustment or the COLA applied like every other non-step position. So I'm just going back and cleaning that up. So the request is to apply the cost of living adjustment to the jail major position. It's position 1356. So that's a request to adjust the budget from $114,342 to $117,898.
Easy for you to say. Okay. All right, any questions?
It's a fairness question. It's the right thing to do. My motion be to approve.
All right, motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's see, 10, 15. Let's go through the, under F, under bids, RFPs, RFQs, quotations. Under F1, authorization of aviation insurance proposal with Assured Partner Aerospace. So, Ken, did you?
I'm sorry,
Sean
which
Nixon
one?
might be able to.
Oh, it's Sean, yeah, okay.
Hey, Judge, if we could get all the insurance that we carry to do the same thing, stay the same as last year, it would be a blessing. So
Yep.
I don't see much question. No increase at all, so my motion would be to approve it.
Okay.
That's quick.
You can get a second, we'll do it.
I'll second that.
All right. We have a motion and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Okay. Next, under item F3, discussion and our authorization of issuance of request for proposal for administrative and plan development services on community development block grant mitigation. So Ken?
Yes, sir. The emergency management, Tim Geske, myself, we've been working through contacting a lot of people, trying to put together a request for proposal for updating our hazard mitigation plan. And we find out new stuff all the time. One of the things that came up as we're working on the RFP is that we need specific approval from Commissioner's Court to be allowed to issue an RFP for this hazard mitigation plan under the grant. And so I'm just asking for specific approval to be allowed to issue an RFP for updating our hazard mitigation plan. And again, this is something we'd have to keep in the package so that we can present if we're audited.
Okay. All right. Any questions? All right. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. Under F4 is authorization of proposal from JRJ Enterprise LLC and for construction and additional, of an additional road and bridge building in Precinct 2. So I'd call on Commissioner Wilson and TJ Jackson to discuss this.
Yeah, this is going to be another proposed building. We'll get all our machines and equipment out of the open air, and it's a, TJ, I think that's just a gravel base, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just gravel base. It'll have piers at all the footings.
It's going to be
pretty basic.
Engineered,
Yeah, 55.
engineered, yeah, and it's going to be extension of what we have there now, and it's going to help us make our yard look more presentable and keep our equipment in better shape and keep it out of the weather when we're not using it. So it sets for 3 days a week, so we want to make sure we keep it out of the bad weather in the evenings and things like that. And I did look at the price, and I'm kind of in this business on the side, so it's a very good price for 6,000 square foot. TJ, about 6,000, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, about 6,000. We did receive 2 tips-based quotes. This was the cheaper of the 2, so this is the one we decided.
And I think we've used him before, right?
Yes, he actually did the big cover out at Road and Bridge 3 for Commissioner Jones.
Yeah, it looks good out there, yeah.
So is this addition, so does all the road and bridge facilities have the same amount of building, the same amount of?
No, not really.
No.
Kind of all our yards are
But that's something, TJ, I'd like to see us go
different in
forward.
the same,
Yeah.
so they're different in their, but they're also, I mean, we have the same type of stuff, things like that, but they're, different.
And everybody's got a little bit different layout.
Yeah,
Ours
different
is,
layout, stuff like that, so.
I don't know if I know anybody that went to the Battle Lake School, but that, it was a Battle Lake School at one time, but we got the ponds down the bottom, and our facility's not level like everybody else's. We don't have much level ground out there, but we're using every inch we can.
Commissioner Smith, did you have a comment?
I was just gonna say, at some point, I'd like TJ to get with maybe our administrative aides, the foremans, to come up, and I think Chrissy's done a little bit for me, looking at all of the precinct yards and seeing that I'm not saying create equality among them, but that they be similar, because we all pretty much have the same equipment. That would be one comment I would make, and I think y'all know where I come from, because I say this pretty much every meeting. I certainly I'm not opposed to this, but it bothers me somewhat that and I recognize Commissioner came on late, but it wasn't included in the original budget proposal. And I prefer to see things handled during the budget process, but I'm certainly not opposed to it, because I understand where he's coming from. But I'd like to see what all of our precinct yards have and see where the needs are and identify them.
Yeah, that'd be a good thing to take a look at. And Commissioner, after this facility is done at Road and Bridge 2, they will be right in line with what we've got going on at Road and Bridge 4. And then, of course, Road and Bridge 3 is kind of next in line. And, of course, the one with the least amount of storage is Road and Bridge 1. So at some point in time, I think it'd be great to do an evaluation of all facilities.
Well, I think Commissioner Smith brings up a good point, that these are generally done in the budgeting process. And so, Francis, this is a permanent improvement, but.
Yes, sir.
So,
And
how
so-
does it,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
well, what funds it coming out of?
So we had planned on it coming from, if you approved it, coming from Fund 401, so the ad valorem tax generating fund. And we actually have the budget amendment on today as well, if you agree with that. I mean, we can use bond funds too for something like that, but I think 401 would probably be the best place for it. We stick the remaining fund balance from Fund 401 in contingencies each year. So when projects do come up, you can fund them. Of course, that's up to you.
We moved a large amount of money into 401.
We did, and it is,
We lose
We moved.
Oh, moved, I thought you said we lose.
it is specifically tagged for the downtown jail. So we want to make sure
Yeah.
that,
Okay,
it was
right,
around
yeah.
9 million. We used ARPA funding to cover some general fund expenditures, and then we're going to
Move that
just
over.
just allocate our M and O portion of the rate differently this
What,
year.
how much was, so 9 million, so that would have left, about 3 million? So normally it has about $3 million in 401? Is that right?
I think it's been a little bit higher. I
Historically?
can pull it up real quick.
historically?
I don't have my budget.
Either way, I think this is, I mean, however you want to pay.
Yeah, we've kept at least a few million in there for,
So-
you know, to build on or, you know, year after year, or to use during the year. Let me tell you what it is.
Mr. Smith, is all your equipment under shed?
No, gosh, no. A lot of ours not.
And so.
So is that something you're considering?
I am now.
Yeah.
We've done it.
Yeah, yours is all.
And there's no doubt about it, the equipment lasts longer if it's covered. I mean, that's just, that's just common sense, and we recognize that. It's just something we've never approached before, but
I don't have a
I think
problem
it's
with it at all,
worth it.
except for the timing is the only thing.
Yeah, I think it was tried to be put toward the budget. I wasn't here, but I think it was tried to get into the budget before, but I'm sure there was probably some, things that happened that didn't get in the budget last time, but it wasn't that we were trying to do that. I wasn't here, but I did research it, and it was tried to get into budget before y'all did the budget, but it just didn't happen at that time. And I understand the importance of that.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the court? So it's your proposal, or you make a
Oh,
motion?
yeah, I make a motion to build this building.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, TJ.
Oppose? Pass. All right. Let's take a 10-minute break.
Thank you.
It'd be better on the
She's
corner
got
there, the city.
another thing that she has to do.
Yeah,
L2 is her agenda item. It's related to their grant.
What page is that on?
It's on page 11.
Sure. South, I went to Richfield. I graduated from Richfield.
Right there. Yes.
During Heart of Texas Fair and Rodeo, we could
Recording in progress.
fence to over to there.
Okay, I'd like to call court back in session. I'd like to jump to item L2. This is regarding the Office of the Governor, Criminal Justice Division, and Specialty Courts Grant Program, and so call on Amy Lowry. Morning, Amy.
Good morning, everyone. I'm submitting a resolution for your consideration for a grant application to the Office of the Governor, Public Safety Office to fund services for the Specialty Court Mental Health Court Program. This is a 12-month grant that, if funded, it would begin September 1st, 2025. The request is $221,255, and this would fund staff for the mental health court program for salaries, participant mental health and substance use treatment and substance use monitoring, travel and training, supplies, and direct operating expenses. There are no federal pass-through dollars, and this is not impacted by the federal freeze, which is a very good thing. Are there any questions regarding this application or resolution?
So when the grant, when these funds run out, what happens? Staffing?
So this is for 12 months, and we would apply again for the following fiscal year.
Okay. And if you didn't get it, then that staff would go away?
Not necessarily. We would look at other funding sources.
Okay. All right.
But we've done this in the past, correct?
Yes, sir. Correct.
All right. What's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve the grant application.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Let's see, let's go back. Try to pick up where we. All right, going under items G, under contracts, interlocal agreements, memorandums of understanding. Under G2 is authorization of road use agreement with Jaguar Solar LLC. So Zane, we've talked about this several times. This is a project in Precinct 2. Some information that we were trying to get from legal, we're still waiting on that. But there's also discussion that Commissioner Wilson and I have had to a certain extent. There's several things on this that we probably need in the proposal. This solar company comes in and does a road evaluation, and then they draw up what they'll do, right? Is that what what the agreement says? Yeah, and the thing that we were talking about is that we draw up what we want, and that just like if there was no third party, no solar entity out there, that Commissioner Wilson wanted to put that road back into condition it was way back when it was actually a chip seal road.
Yes, sir.
And then address those culverts and all those kind of things. And what we want to do is have engineering draw that up, and then we take it and tell them this is what we expect. And then the other thing is, there's a lot of discussion around the country about, well, one of the things in the agreement, they said when they finish.
Right.
I'm not sure when that is, because I'm aware of some options that's out there that keep being exercised, that keep pushing this down the road. So the people that live out there would have to live on that conditioned road, unconditioned road, until the project's done, and we don't really know when that would be. So those are kind of the things that we're wrestling with right now.
Well, we've already signed an agreement with Jaguar Solar for them to maintain the road as they are under construction. And when they complete their construction, they are to bring the road and any creek crossings back to as good or better condition than when before they began. And I do believe they did road surveys and bridge surveys. To your point, they will complete once the operation is, the system is in operation. I believe that's when they consider it complete, not when they remove or stop operations. However, we can ask them to bring the road back to its original condition. And then at that time, once they do that, if the county chooses to improve the road to a better condition, such as chip seal, then we could do so at that time. I'm not sure asking them to do above and beyond what they were already agreed to and we agreed to in writing would be appropriate.
Would it be appropriate to have a completion, a date in there, and just, instead of just saying when we're finished? Because, I mean, theoretically, they could keep adding solar panels one at a time and say, we're never finished.
Yeah,
that's an issue.
That is correct. If the county was good with the road as is before they began, and they keep it to that to that condition, then the county should still be good with it. But if we're wanting to improve the road to a higher level than what was already there, then yes, further discussions will need to occur.
That's what we're talking about. The other thing is the contract we're under now just has to do with the
Maintenance.
project that's going on right now. It doesn't, what they're asking is for an additional agreement, from the solar side. One side's the battery storage side, one side's the solar side. And so there's a lot of questions about, how long that'll take. And then also they scratched through a few items that were in there, like if they use other roads outside this agreement, that they're not responsible for repairing those, and that's not acceptable to us.
Yeah, because they went down, some heavy loads went down South Vica, and it's got some issues.
Yeah.
So, but Zane, can we get, because when those gentlemen from Jaguar met with me, of course, they spoke of some things, but can we get, because they said it was already in black and white what they were gonna do to Elk Road in ink, from County Line Road to Double E Ranch Road, and it was very impressive what they said they've already budgeted for. Is there any way we can get a copy of that? Or do you know if they have that?
No, I wasn't part of that conversation, so I'm not sure what they said they were going to do.
Mhm.
But we already have, yes, a road use agreement for the solar farm to go into. And it did include the Vicar Road use, and they are required to bring Vicar Road back to its condition prior to their starting their operations.
Well, I'll take the blame for it, but there's a lot of things here that, questions that need to be answered, and one of them is, to put the people that live out there, let this road really get bad, and it's not gonna be fixed till they get through with their project, and we don't know what that is. It's too many questions.
Too many
on that.
variables.
And the other thing is, I'm trying to figure out, if we just say we're not signing the road use agreement, what does that mean? And so understanding what our leverage might be in all this is important as well.
So it's my understanding that it's the same company. The original company was SP Jaguar, and that was for the solar farm. And then SP Jaguar got bought out or changed their name to PP Jaguar. And then PP Jaguar decided not only to build a solar farm, but the battery storage system on the other side of the road. And so we did already execute a road use agreement with PP Jaguar for the battery storage system on the other side of the road. So they already have the authority to do that, to use the roads. This item before you is simply PP Jaguar said, we don't want to just use the assigned rights from SP Jaguar, even though we have our own PP Jaguar solar farm, road use agreement. We want to go ahead and have a separate road use agreement under PP Jaguar that mentions the battery storage system, because the other one did not mention the battery storage system. And so it's basically the same company saying, we already have a road use agreement, but this time we're going to go ahead and put in the revised agreement, which is all the same language, that it's not just solar, it's battery.
Well, so so it looks like to me that they've put the battery, we didn't know that it was gonna be a battery bank. And so they've switched the agreement that like it was already approved, when that's not exactly what we understood was gonna be there. And that battery and their connection to the grid out there is significant. It is unbelievable. And this morning there were 4 big gravel trucks headed down 2491, fixing to hit Elk Road and haul material into there. There's just lots of aggregate going into that area in there. And and plus, I've seen those trucks come down the wrong road because they're using Google Maps and taking the shortest distance rather than the
Approved route.
Yeah, the approved route. So
They do that.
a lot of them are coming out of Houston with equipment on it. So they're coming
Yeah, that's.
Hart
Right.
that
Yeah,
way.
you're seeing it that way.
Yeah.
Zane, you think that, that battery, if we had any indications of what weight's gonna be brought in there on Elk Road or those creek crossings too? Cause I don't know, solar farm panels or, I don't know the weight that they brought in there. I know some of them were over 80,000, 100,000 pounds. But I wonder what the battery plant was gonna try to bring in, with the battery storage.
Well, it's big. It's big.
Yeah, it's definitely over 100,000 pounds. They had to get a special heavy load and wide load agreement permit from TxDOT, and they did submit those the permit application, and we were courtesy copied, and I believe your office was also courtesy copied on that, but I can go back and find that. It's my understanding that the battery system has almost been completed.
Yeah.
But if it's not, and they are no longer using, say, Vicar Road and some of the other side roads, maybe we could ask them to go ahead and start the reconstruction of those roads now.
Yeah.
Well, let's,
I think, we need to wait probably a little bit more, right?
well, I think we need to get in the same room.
Yeah, with them.
We're trying to get through, all the holidays and everything held us up from really getting together, but we need to get Zane and you and Mike Dixon, myself, and maybe a few others in there to talk about this. I'll make a motion, we defer.
Second. Question,
Yeah.
quickly. On the agreements that are with these specific companies, that they say that they'll put it back to pre-construction condition, in the agreement, is there mention of a successor? So if they sell before the end and the new company comes in, there's a contractual liability on their part to complete the work of the previous company?
I'm pretty sure there is. The ones I've seen have that.
Okay.
Because you're gonna see these deals sell
They
multiple
sell.
times.
Sell.
And
That's right.
so it starts out with a real estate company, and they take down the land, they've already got buyers on the other end, and it keeps selling until it gets to the
Okay.
contractor and then the long-term owner. It's like a interim construction phase and then a permanent at the end, just like a house loan or commercial building, so.
Okay.
I'm sure this is a stepping stone, but I'm not sure where else in McLennan County they could go, but they might. So we kind of learned through this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would definitely, they made, and we'll visit about that in our meeting.
Yeah, I want to see what our legal boundaries are and what leverage we might have if we want something more specific. So there's a motion and a second. No other questions. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right, next is item G3, authorization agreement of GILA LLC Municipal Services Bureau. This is, says here it needs to be deferred, so we're not prepared to,
Motion to defer?
yeah. This is online auction portal for tax office. So they're having a presentation on that, I think, this week with several people. And so there's a motion to defer, and there's a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, pass. G4s regarding the United States Marshal Service interlocal agreement, G4A is authorization of order for supplies or services. Looks like this is a authorization of order from the U.S. Marshals for provisions for detention services and funding. This is our contract, I guess.
Changing the contract?
Yeah, 6,000 for ICE detainees for Jack Harrell Detention Center. David, are you on?
David is not on, but this is Katie Taylor with the SO, and I
Okay,
can speak
Katie.
to these items.
Yeah, can you
So-
address this?
Yes, sir. Both of these agreements are both standard agreements with ICE relating to allocating and deallocating money for the detention services of ICE detainees at Jack Harwell. So these agreements are done on a periodic basis as inmates come in and out of the facility. And like I said, we receive these orders for services periodically, and these are the same as previous ones that we've received, with the exception of G4B, which is a modification of the contract to update the bed pay rate of $84.12, which is the current rate. And we just request approval of both of these agreements.
Okay, and so,
That's the same rate?
yeah.
Okay.
That the $84.12 is the current rate. We are just getting the contract modified to reflect that.
Great.
And then, so the U.S. Marshal Service, they hold detainees for ICE. Is that correct?
ICE is piggybacking off of our
Yeah.
agreement with the Marshal Service.
Okay. All right, any questions or comments on that? If not, is there a motion to approve the order for supplies for services as well as the modification of the contract with U.S. Marshal Service?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, G5 is regarding the software as a service agreement with Tyler Technologies for enterprise public safety authorization of the amendment. So, John?
John Carter, IT Director. So this is a no-cost change order to the original Tyler project. All it is changing the product we had originally scheduled to have, which was the LE report writing tool, to the new product that they released since we started our contract. This is wanted by the Sheriff's Department and authorized by, or passed by the steering committee. Again, no-cost change order. Everybody wants it. We recommend a change.
Okay. All right, is there a motion to approve the amendment with Tyler Technologies?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. Thank you. Under G6, authorization of revised equipment sale order agreement with Kirby Smith Machinery. Ken?
Yes, if the court will recall, we had passed through an equipment sales order a little while back in the amount of $192,298.04. Well, by the time we had passed that through, we had already made a couple of more payments, rental payments, that reduced the amount of the sales price. So this is an equipment sales order taking the place of the previous one in the amount of $702.26, taking the place of the previous order.
All right. I'll make a motion to approve. Any questions?
I don't suppose precinct one could get back that difference, could they, since the other ones have paid it? I second that motion, Judge.
Okay. We have motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. G7 is authorization of professional service agreement and related construction materials testing proposal for Lingaman Engineering. Zane?
Yes, sir. So this is a materials testing contract for the culvert replacement going on South Old Bruceville Road in Precinct 1. It'll be testing of materials not to exceed $3,527. It's recommended for approval.
All right. Any questions? Not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. All right, under I, capital improvements and repairs and maintenance projects regarding the McLennan County Highway 6 jail roof project, call on Ken Bass.
Yes, we have a pay application number 2. The original bid amount was $1,338,456. This is pay app number 2 in the amount of $262,246. This has been reviewed, and we recommend approval. And I'll go ahead. Then we were lagging behind on pay app 2, and we've got pay app number 3. Again, this is in the amount of $70,170.80. Again, this has been reviewed, and we recommend approval.
Okay, so there's 2 pay apps here.
Yes.
Okay. All right, any questions anyone have? Is there a motion to approve the pay application 2 and 3?
So moved. Second.
That motion, second, any discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. Under J's budget amendments, transfers, changes, under J1 regarding the FY '24 budget. J1A is a 2019 certificates obligation, permanent improvement fund, number 419.
And so I'll cover that, like you said, J1A, and this is a budget amendment for 2024. It's to actually clean up or correct a previously approved budget amendment. We originally approved it for fiscal year 25, but we did have cost in 24. So we're just getting that correctly stated for 2024 so that the budget is clean at year end. And then Judge, I can go ahead and proceed with J2, the other budget amendments.
Okay.
If that's okay as well.
Yeah.
So then for 2025, we have a few budget amendments. So J2A, this is in Fund 401, and this is related to the Road and Bridge 2 building that you approved earlier on in the agenda.
Okay.
J2B, this is in Fund 419, and this is related to that correction that I just mentioned for 24. So this is almost pulling it out of 25, and then we placed it in 24 with the previous budget amendment. So this is just, again, to properly state the date, the effective date for this budget amendment. And then on J2C, this is a certification of revenue for donations received by the specialty courts. And so the donations total $500. And then there's an attached budget amendment, and they are requesting to increase a line item in the budget to purchase incentives for the specialty court program with those funds.
Is that it?
Yes, so that concludes the actual budget amendments.
All right, so if there's no questions, is there a motion to approve J1A, then J2, J2A, J2B, J2C?
That would be it. So move.
All right.
Second.
Motion second, any other discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. All right, under J2D, County Sheriff.
Okay, and then I can also speak on that one. And so in the current year 2025 budget, you approved capital outlay funding of $112,961, and that was for the body worn camera project. There were grant proceeds that were applied for and we were approved for. So the county's local cost is only going to be $33,850. So there is a surplus there in the budget. The sheriff's office is requesting to reallocate those remaining funds that are in capital outlay. And so they would like to use those, number one, for year 2 of the Axon Taser project. And so we are in that contract, like I said, in year 2, but that failed to be budgeted for. So we could reuse those remaining funds for that purpose, as well as give them the opportunity to purchase an extra ballistic shield. You had approved some of those already in the budget, but they can buy an additional one with the remaining funds. So they would they would request to reallocate those funds to be used for those 2 purposes.
Any questions?
I make a motion. We allow that.
Second.
I have motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Under J2E, Road and Bridge Precinct 30 authorization of relocation of capital outlay funds, Commissioner Jones.
So yes, we saved some money on our capital outlay purchases for 2025, and we'd like to reallocate those funds to buy a shredder deck and a spray rig off the buy board.
What do y'all spray?
Vegetation, the bar ditches.
Yeah, you know what chemical you use?
I'm sure it's some form of
Remedy or Roundup or,
something, you know, something that's approved. We have a couple of guys that are,
got their
that
license.
have their license, definitely, so, yeah.
All right, any questions? And that's a motion?
That's a motion, I make a motion that we approve that authorization of reallocation of capital outlay funds.
All right,
Second.
all right, there's a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, passed. Under K, real estate right-of-ways, there's nothing today. Under L is grants and grant proposals. L1's regarding the U.S. Department of Treasury. The Corona Local Virus Physical Recovery Fund. Under L1A is regarding the professional service agreement with BKD, LLP, and that amount. Francis, can you go with that?
Sure. Yeah, so this is the December invoice for professional services performed by Forvis related to the ARPA funding. It totals $5,182.11, and it has been reviewed and recommended for approval. I know the question always comes up, what have we spent to date? And so what we've spent to date over the last years is $186,056 to this specific vendor for this specific purpose.
Okay. Any questions? And Francis recommends the payment of that. Says, what's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve the invoice from Forvis.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Under L1B is authorization of revised American Rescue Plan budget adjustment. Francis?
So this is a request to amend the previously approved budget amendment for ARPA. And so we found that there was a piece of the HVAC project that was labeled as contingency within the bid. And so after reviewing the federal guidance and then talking with our consultant Forvis, they recommended that we reallocate that ARPA funding. Because it was labeled as contingency, use local funds to pay for that piece. And so what we'd like to do is just swap out and lower the ARPA funding for that project and increase the ARPA funding for the downtown jail project. So it's just kind of reallocating it. It will end up with the same result. It doesn't change anything we've obligated. It's just, this is just an amendment to that budget amendment, and you'll see that amended budget amendment attached.
Okay. Any questions? All right, is there a motion to approve the revised budget agreement?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Under L1C is regarding the Clinton County ARPA HVAC renovation project. So Ken?
Yes, sir. We've received our first pay application for pay application number 1 in the amount of $12,078. It's basically for their mobilization, and it's been reviewed, and we recommend approval.
All right, any questions? All right.
Motion to approve.
All right.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right, under item L1D regarding the professional consulting contract, addendum with Lockwood Andrews. This is, Francis, this is the LAN piece of the
Yes, sir.
agreement we have.
Yes, so this is the invoice for services provided through January 17th, 2025 by Lockwood, Andrews, and Newman, specifically for the ARPA project. And it totals $2,884.75. And then extra note, side note, to date for the ARPA project, we've spent $170,843 with LAN for the ARPA project.
Okay. And, you know, they help us put on the McLennan County Water Resource Group, besides this other stuff. And really does a good job in that. So I would make a motion, we approve this, paying this invoice.
Second?
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. Under L3 is regarding the state criminal alien assistance program, acceptance of the FY24 grant award. That grant award amount is $98,915. Any questions on that?
Motion to approve the acceptance of the grant?
Second. All right, have a motion second. Any other discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Quick question about this, and I always like to know how many, this is a, pretty small amount compared to what we actually spent on the alien, on the criminal aliens. Do we know how many criminal aliens are in our detention right now that we have holds on? We used to know that number.
David would have that for sure. And
Yes, that's submitted, through the sheriff's office, and then we submit the
Is that in that?
expense side, so we can get with him and get that to you.
Is that in the application?
I'm not sure if it is or not.
This is very specific to undocumented criminal aliens who have been convicted of at least one felony or 2 misdemeanors. Is that correct? So we should be able to
Katie,
see those
you're
numbers
still
at
on?
some point.
Yes, sir. For this particular year, this was covering last year. This was for a total of 235 unique individuals.
Okay.
Okay.
For the whole year?
Yes, sir. And keep in mind, many of these left and came back according to where ICE was moving them. But yes, 235 people.
Okay. All right, any other questions? All right, there's a motion to approve the grant award.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right, L4 is discussion or action regarding the state and local cybersecurity grant program. John Carter.
Did you give them a copy of your breakdown?
They have it
Oh,
in
it's
their
in
packet.
there. Okay.
Yes, sir. So just let me know and go over that.
It's all here.
So Francis, our auditor, put together a total project cost for this. And so I want to start out by saying, so this is a part of the multi-factor authentication project where we talk about having an ID card that also gets you in the door and also gets you into your computer.
Picture ID.
Yes. So we had a grant that the court has already accepted the grant, $118,601.28. That money, that was a 10% match. So our 10% match of that is $13,177.92. Then excuse me, additionally, we budgeted $265,501.68. So first thing I would say is that we budgeted plenty of money for this year to cover this project. And then, sorry. So one issue that came in for FY25 was they actually adjusted the budget year for that. So now instead of running through September 30th and our budget year as well, it runs through October 31st of this year.
Another month.
So what you're seeing here is an 8-month breakdown of the annual cost. And then we have some prepaids there for FY26 and 27, which is the software license cost. And those will be prepaid, and then Francis can explain that better, but adjusted and put on the next budget years. But the money we have budgeted covers all of it.
So with the grant, and then we can cover the match and the remainder, like John said, that out of already budgeted funds. And we may need to do some reclass between lines just to break up software and capital, but it's in the budget for this project. And as you'll see on that first page, that summary, like he said, you can see there where the grant does flow over a little bit into our FY26,
Right.
but then drops off. And so we will be paying all of it up front, the $397,000 project. But because we only recognize expenditures when they're actually incurred, we'll spend it up front, but we'll expense it out over its life. And so that just gives you a glimpse of what it will be through FY 2028.
Okay.
And what this is covering is all the software necessary to do all of this. It'll cover the 1,000 access cards, which should cover us through, I would suspect, about 3 to 5 years of adding employees and employees leaving and all that. And also, it's 2 printers, so we can print the IDs, and then the actual hardware device used at each computer.
When do you expect that to be? We actually have those.
We'll kick off the project this week if approved, and then we have to be done by October 31st, but I would suspect sometime in the summer we'd be able to get it completed. Because you're talking about 1,100 people and getting all the hardware out to them and configured on all the systems. It'll take a few months.
Okay. All right, any questions or comments?
Will these be on our systems out at the Road and Bridge barns?
Yes, every computer on that accesses our network.
All right.
All the JPs, all the constable offices, everything.
Okay, any other questions?
Okay, and we can get into it later about what if multiple people access one computer? So we can get into
Yes.
the details later, that's fine.
This handles that.
Okay, it'll handle all that, okay.
Because you're accessing it based on your user, and that's what your card will be linked to as your user on the network.
Same with doors. I mean, if they have a authority to get in that door, they can get in it, but if they don't, they won't get in it.
Correct.
Yeah.
What about laptops?
Same scenario. So there's a backup MFA option if you don't, because this card reader will be connected to your desk computer, or if you only have one computer, that computer. But there's a backup option, the same options you always had of having it send a text to your phone or using a multi-factor authentication app. Same scenario if you were to forget your card one day, you would still be able to log on.
Okay. All right, I think, do we have a motion second?
Not yet.
All right, I'll make a motion.
Second?
Have a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
If you don't mind, could we take the related item to this? It's on the supplemental agenda.
Oh, the redacted one?
Yes.
Okay.
Redacted statement of work. So as part of this project, it's
What agenda item is that?
supplemental agenda.
Okay, under B1, authorization agreement, statement of work for CDW Government LLC. All right, John?
So this statement of work is related to the item you just approved. It's for the line item, sorry, where is it? There it is. One of the line items in this is just the work to actually configure this, which is what the company will be doing. And it's yeah, they just call it the new item on the quote, but it's the $26,891.20. So that is what this statement of work is proposed to do. It is redacted to some degree about how they come to those numbers, but we have gone through it very detailed with the company, and it makes sense to us, the IT department. So all this is just an agreement that we would sign to allow them to do the work, to have this all be configured on our servers.
Okay.
What we would ask here, because we had this kind of late notice yesterday, is if we could approve it based on, or contingent upon a legal review.
Absolutely.
Since it has been redacted, we need to look at that. We had the original one approved, but now that it's redacted, we want to make sure we're doing the right thing here.
Okay. All right, what's the pleasure of the court?
That would be my motion, that it be approved pending legal review.
Second?
I have motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, going to item L5 regarding the Office of Governor and Public Safety Office for the State Homeland Security Grant Program, LETP projects authorization. Michael Graham. Michael, you on?
I'll speak to that.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say anything, now I'm gonna let you come on up.
Judge, this is in reference to the State Homeland Security Grant Program that we applied for every year for our bomb squad equipment
Okay.
and training. This year, we're asking for an online training program to assist with the curriculum and both online and in-person instructors. The FBI now requires us to have 24 hours a month of continuing education for our bomb techs, and that would assist us with that. Also, we're asking for a smaller digital x-ray panel to use with our current digital x-ray system. Smaller panel would be able to use in tighter places as well as more covertly in crowded areas where we could put it in a backpack and x-ray things without causing alarm in the public.
Okay. All right, any questions? It's a pleasure of the court on motion to approve the grant application.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, passed. Thank you. Okay, going to item M2, McLennan County Community Supervision and Correction Department. This is, so Ken, tell us about this.
Yes, we had a request from adult probation for 3 additional phones for new personnel. Again, is basic service of like $39.99 a month, plus any protective coverings and everything. That would be additional cost. But anyway, a request from Chip for these 3 additional phones.
All right, any questions?
Motion to approve.
All right, have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. All right, under M3 purchasing, this is authorization of online auction with Renee Bates. Ken?
Yes, we have 71 lots ready to go out for auction. 73. We've got a couple of lots in purchasing. We have a number of lots out at Cobb's Building. For DL's information, that's where we keep most of our surpluses, out at the Cobb's Building. We have some items at the Extraco Event Center, and we have a lot of stuff out at Highway 6 Jail. That includes a lot of vehicles here. So with your approval, we'll get this auction going Thursday, and it'll run for 3 weeks. And
I thought Highway 6 Jail was going into the used car business. I saw so many of them parked out there.
Yes, it's been quite a collection.
Yeah, it was a big.
Have they been offered to the other agencies that we get asked all the time?
I'm sorry, you'll have to ask them. I thought most of them were in good shape. I think we've talked to them before, and what we have is not, they didn't deem worthy of like.
These 22 Tahoes, none of them were deemed worthy?
I'm sorry, we can come back to that, or we can.
I mean, I'm
sorry,
just-
Sean just left.
Just wondering,
Yeah, we got-
we're always getting asked, and so.
Yeah, Mark, Volunteer Fire Department asked for some kind of a Tahoe that they, I think the Sheriff's Department was still looking into that for me, but,
Okay. Any questions for Ken? Otherwise, is there a motion to approve these?
So moved.
Have a motion, I'll second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, passed. All right, under M4, Specialty Court, we already did that one, didn't we, or not? No, but this is Francis, you have information on this?
Yeah, so this is just the court formally accepting the donations to specialty court. They total $500, and earlier on the agenda, I had the certification and the budget amendment.
All right, I'll make a motion we approve.
Second.
Have a second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, passed. Under N, there's additional items in discussion with potential action. Under N1 is discussion or action regarding the equipment sharing policy. And Dustin's not here. Does anyone?
I've looked it over, Judge. I don't see any problem. I think it spells out pretty much how it needs to happen. I guess the only question I would have there's no reason to run this by legal, is it? Since that's internal?
Mike's been involved.
He's made some recommendations for changes, which have been incorporated.
And they have been incorporated,
Yeah.
and I'm fine with it then. My motion would be to approve the policy.
Second?
All right, I have a motion second. Anything has to do with policy changes, I can promise you, Mike, is.
Well, that's what I wanted to make sure, yeah. I didn't know.
Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. Okay, under N2, authorization of space allocations under N2A is regarding relocation information technology department. TJ?
Yes, good morning, everyone. So most of you are probably aware, but the IT facility, we've flat outgrown it. To put that in perspective, we have about 9 physical offices in that facility with over 22 personnel sharing throughout. So we've got folks just stacked everywhere. We've got them in places they shouldn't be. So it's time for us to make a change. So we went through and evaluated. Most of you know we purchased 1211 a few years ago as a swing space, and we've utilized it as just that over the past couple of years. Well, it's large enough to be the perfect space for IT to move into and become their permanent house, so to speak. So we are asking court's approval to go ahead and do that. In doing so, it causes a couple of chain reactions to folks that we have in the current facility at 1211. So we would have to relocate CPS services for the DA's office into the IT building as their flex space or temporary means until the new Justice Center is completed, as long with hot checks and the 2 young ladies from specialty court that are housed at 1211. So those are really the 2 items that we're asking court's permission to go ahead and do. And then we'll get into some other things here in a few minutes as it relates to different moves for the downtown jail. But we've evaluated everything at 1211. Financially, it's the most feasible place to go ahead and move that user group with very little repairs and modifications. So we would recommend it for approval.
And the server would stay where it is.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Yeah, so that should be, make it easier. So that would cover N2A, and then N2B is regarding the district attorney's CPS move that you just explained, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, and then N2C would cover the, oh, that's a separate issue, that's file clerk. So is there a motion to approve, or any questions regarding that?
Price tag.
To move the IT over. So we got quotes back on the data lines and phone lines. It's a little over $2,300. The majority of the furniture is going to be reallocated and reused. There may be some modular furniture that has to be purchased in order to create them kind of a cubicle setting on the 2nd floor. The cost is very minimal. A couple of wall lines that we're going to remove and some carpet patch back. So I'd say all in all, less than $8,000. Pretty reasonable for a move of that size, especially with 22 folks.
Yeah. I know we're going to be doing a lot of moving here and have been, and so I'd say going forward, it would help me in evaluating it to have a price tag or a ballpark price tag associated with these moves.
Yeah, yeah. Very
Sure.
good.
But 8,000 is far, far less than what I imagined it would be.
Well, and you know, the whole purpose of buying 1211s, we might not have known exactly where it was gonna end up, what we're gonna use it for, but we knew we were gonna need it, and so, and the city gave us a really good deal on it. So,
JT, how many employees would move into your old IT place?
So CPS, especially as it relates to the DA's office, they're currently running about 5 folks. Now that shifts sometimes depending on how many interns they've got coming in. So it could be anywhere from 6 to 7. And then you've got 2 that work for hot checks and then 2 more that work for specialty court. So, I mean, we're pretty much going to max the facility out with what we're moving.
Because you got like nine spots. You wouldn't,
Right.
they wouldn't have to go back in the broom closet like some of your IT people.
Right, absolutely. They're going to be spread out and they'll have plenty of space available for them. So it's a good fit, and we all know it's temporary until the Justice Center is completed.
All right, we don't have a motion yet, right?
No.
We need a motion on N2A and N2B, if you agree.
Motion to approve N2A and N2B.
Second?
All right, motion made and second. Any other discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. N2C is regarding the relocation of the district clerk's file storage to the 5th floor of the annex building. TJ?
So N2C, 3 or 4 years ago, the court approved utilizing the basement of the downtown jail for the district clerk's high-density file storage. So we've got numerous files in numerous places in that basement that need to come out just due to the renovation project that's taking place. We don't want folks going in and out of there, of course, trying to pull files and things of that nature. And they're in the way where the new supports have to go in for the new column lines.
Mm-hmm.
So we are recommending to the court that we utilize the 5th floor of the annex building. Most of you can recall, we demolished most of the jail cells on the 5th floor years ago, so it's just vacant space. So it's kind of the perfect opportunity to put some of that stuff up there and spread it out accordingly. So that's what we're asking for approval on this one.
It's not too heavy. I thought that was always an issue.
We're going to get very creative with what we're doing. We're going to make sure we've got files spread out the best we can. We've got a structural engineer involved that's just verifying everything that we can do up there. And it's the one that originally did the investigation on the 3rd floor.
So, and we feel like we need to know at that level of weight that it can stand, so it'll be a permanent part of information regarding that floor going forward. So we need to establish that now. So that's the plan.
Has that already been done, or are we looking at another expense?
It will be in the works, so it will be another expense.
Yeah. And then there's a certain amount of cleanup has to be done up there too, right?
Yeah, so, most of you can remember the windows were all busted out. We had pigeons coming in from the old downtown jail. So we've gone through and done some make-ready stuff. We actually fired a couple of the old air conditioner units up and heating systems up. So we're partially the way there. We've got a little bit more work to do. So we're still, several weeks out from being able to do anything, but we're getting close.
All right. Any questions? All right, is on N2C, if there's no other questions, there a motion to approve the recommendation by TJ?
So moved.
Second.
Have motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, pass. Under N2Ds regarding the location exchange for the 74th District Courtroom and the 414 District Courtroom. TJ?
So back a couple of years ago, when the 74th, when Judge Menard had officially retired and the 74th came back over from juvenile, we moved them back into their old home. The 74th was located where the 414th used to be. We moved the 414th up to the old law library on the 4th floor of the courthouse. Well, now that Judge Coley is stepping down, the 414th would like to come back to their original home. So this is what this move is all about. And we recommend it for approval. It's not a big deal, and they've already been there in the past, so it's easy for us to make it happen for them.
All right, any questions? If not, what's the pleasure of the court?
I'll make a motion for in 2D.
All right.
Second.
Have motion and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. All right, under N3 is discussion or action regarding the order authorizing Texas Independence Day fireworks sales. Basically, Reagan.
Right, the court has the option of allowing fireworks for the Texas Independence Day. So, but you have to make the approval, and you have to approve an order allowing for the fireworks to take place, and it has to be done before February 15th. So it's just up to the court whether they want to allow them.
Right, and if it does turn off to be extremely dry and we're under a burn ban, then there are measures we can put in to
Right,
prevent.
you can make orders to restrict sticks and fins and various things, yes.
Yeah. Okay,
Has this ever been done before?
yeah,
Y'all have had it on Independence Day?
Yeah.
yeah.
You have to do
There'll
it
be a
every-
couple stands that'll be open.
Yeah, you have to do it every year, I guess.
Yeah, and unbelievably, the fireworks lobby is strong,
Very strong.
and that's why they have everything way out in front. And
I'm pretty sure my children give them money.
yeah,
Well, my dogs wouldn't, so.
yeah. Okay,
Motion to approve the order regarding authorization of Texas Independence Day fireworks sales.
Second.
all right, I have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Under N3, discussion or action regarding, N4 is discussion or action regarding proposed pending state and federal legislative issues, including adoption of resolutions and as appropriate.
This is just on here in case you all want to discuss any legislative matters that have come up during this legislative session. So there's notes in here about different bills and stuff, but it's just on here in case anything comes up that you all need to discuss or
Okay.
want to take action on.
Yeah, and that is a good idea that we monitor these. We have a lot of different ways to access what these bills are and activity, but if there's a reason we want to strongly support or strongly oppose, well, let us know and we'll put together the resolutions.
I think the one that we have to be very cognizant of, Judge, is anything that restricts our ability to fund those unfunded mandates that have come down to us from the state and federal level.
Yeah.
Anything that's being considered down there in those regards that's needs to also be accompanied by something that requires the state to fund those mandates.
Right.
So that's my opinion. So.
Well, and that's, so yesterday I met with Pat Curry, and we had a meeting over in McGregor to talk about some legislation particular to them. And that was the thing, one of the things that we brought up is, and he understands that everything he's got to figure out what it means to his hometown or his home county if they pass it. But there's always going to be unfunded mandates. We just need to have as few of them as we possibly can.
Amen.
So,
and the ones that are there, we need to have the ability to pay for them.
yeah. And, my advice was that the state's talking a lot about cutting back the tax burden on individuals. Well, a lot of it, they can help us a lot if they'll quit sending unfunded mandates here.
Absolutely.
And help us deal with things like mental health and all those.
Defense.
And, we're sitting here in a county that I know for 9 straight years have reduced our tax rate very successfully and still been able to fund a lot for all the needs of our citizens. And I'm sure there are some counties that haven't been able to do that or have chosen not to do that. But it's one of those one-size-fits-all in Austin, and it seems like the innocent get punished with the guilty.
Well, there's a war against municipal league, and TAC gets thrown in with it too by the lieutenant governor and the speaker, and all that. So,
The speaker was actually recorded saying that he despised
he threw out
local officials.
He threw out a city mayor and some others because they were members of the municipal league, but they weren't there to talk about that, and he kicked them out of the meeting.
So just remember that.
And so they don't want taxpayer paying for lobbies. Well, we don't have a lobbyist, so we use Texas Association of Counties and the municipal league.
Also CUC, also too.
And so, we would have to go hire somebody to be on our staff, and what are they gonna do? They're gonna lobby. So I don't understand the difference in Curry doesn't either, and so anyhow, those discussions that we've had.
Yep.
And, you know,
We don't need any action on this then?
now it's just information.
Okay, all right,
Thank you.
very good.
All right, going to items, I believe we're at M5, McLennan County Historical Commission, adoption of updated bylaws. And Reagan, do you have anything on this?
Yeah, they sent this, they've updated the bylaws just to take some stuff out, to combine the treasury and the secretary position into one. So there's just a couple of changes they've made to it, and it does require court approval.
Okay. Just for information. Okay. All right.
I think we need a motion to approve this, don't we?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay.
I make a motion to approve the updated bylaws.
Second.
I have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. Under N6, authorization of McLennan County's Phase 2 municipal separate storm sewer system. Zane?
Yes, sir. So this is the yearly report that we do every year for TCEQ. And this begins the new 5-year system, and so this will be year 1 report for year 1. And TCEQ has made a few changes on how they accept the report, and so if the county commissioners court approves this report, then your office judge will have to docu-sign the report back to TCEQ, and it's recommended for approval.
Okay. All right, any questions? All right, I'll make a motion we approve the plan.
Second.
Motion made, second. Any other discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. All right, we have nothing on items O or P. So on item Q is McLennan County Venue Project, call on Francis.
Pulled up. So today, I'm going to give you a financial update on the venue project funds, and then we'll talk about what approvals we need to make since calendar year 24 is now complete. And so just as a review, and I know for Commissioner Wilson as well, just what's happening here with the venue project. So if you'll see it there at the top, those are our 2 sources of revenue. So we have hotel occupancy taxes and vehicle rental taxes. And those are the only 2 sources of funding that are coming into the venue project. We are not allowed legally to put any other local funds into the venue project. And so those 2 taxes, they get funneled into what we call the venue project debt service fund. And so they're housed there, and then you'll see there that as they're pushed to the right, of course, they pay the debt service payments each year. The debt service payments are related to a bond that was issued in 2018. And so when we issued that bond, the bond proceeds went into what we call the Venue Project Construction Fund, and that's primarily what we used for the cost related to the base construction. And so, again, taxes funneled into the debt service fund, they pay the debt service each year. And then at the end of each calendar year, we look at what surplus is left after debt service payments are made. And then that surplus sits in the construction fund. We use it to either extinguish obligations with other entities, or we can use it for continued venue projects. Not doing anything for me. Oh, sorry, y'all. Okay, so just a glimpse at hotel occupancy taxes for the last 4 years, plus the first few years of this current fiscal year. So you'll see there, I have the blue highlight over the last fiscal year, FY24, and we were right at 2.85 million. And so, again, as we've seen over year, that has increased. You know, we had the outlier there, 2020, 2021, but back on track. And that increase from 2024 from 2023 is about 11.2%. So just at first glance, it doesn't look like a huge increase, but I think a little over 11% is a great indicator on where this is headed. And then if you look on FY '25, of course, we just have October, November, December, those months completed, and those numbers available so far. But you can
So if
compare
you
those.
added in, say, like September of '24 was more than September of '23. October of '25 was more than October 20, was a little less, excuse me, and then November was a little more, and December was, so the change in the football is not really, you know, it's still doing, you know, it's still growing.
I think so too.
And
I just
how
thought-
how much is that, you think, is based on, and you may not be the right person to ask, but how much have room rates gone up, do you think? How much have room rates gone up any?
I'm not sure if room
I
rates,
can-
they might have actually gone down, but there's more rooms.
Yes.
Got more rooms?
And so we look at what it's like revenue per room. It's like the hotel statistics always look at that.
But
and
you
I-
get that, don't
I
you?
will. And that's part of our continuing disclosure for the debt that we do.
Right.
I'll get that and get that to get
Okay.
over to you. But it has some very interesting numbers. It tells you how many rooms were available, and you can see over the last years how that's grown, and then what the average room rate was, and the revenue per night is as well. But I'll get that. I should have incorporated that into my presentation, actually. That would have been really good info.
You know, Jim would have asked it, because he likes to ask that stuff.
So that was a 19,000 increase, and then a 30,000 decrease, and a 9,000 increase, and then is it about 17,000 increase? So
Yeah, I think some, you know, I can just look at it and, you know, try to guess why or why these numbers are changing
I know
month to
that
month.
there was some talk
but-
that would, you know, those numbers might not be as good with
Depends on how many home football games there
Big
were.
12, yeah,
Yeah.
you know, the change in the Big 12 and things like that. So, but actually, probably have more people coming in because they're further away.
There's a position at the city, and I'm assuming that person is still in that position. She has a lot of information, a lot of data, a lot of knowledge on the tourism side and what's driving these numbers. So, if we ever want to bring her in, I'm sure they would be willing to do that as well.
One thing that would be interesting to follow is the fact that, which to me is a plus, is that Waco has contracted with a third-party vendor to market the convention center to try to bring in more events there, and also the basketball arena they're trying to bring in. You know, by contract, they can have so many days to bring in venues there, and they're working on that also.
Concerts.
Which obviously people come in, they spend money, hotels and so forth. So that'll be an interesting follow.
Do we have to share this revenue here, Judge, or just?
This revenue is ours.
Okay, yeah.
And then we pay our obligations with it, so.
The city has
Pay
their
the-
own
it's
hotel
incurred.
taxes
Okay.
that they are.
It's
Pay the debt
Look at
on
your
the-
hotel,
on the venue.
it's your hotel bill.
Is
It'll
the-
have-
It's encumbered pretty much.
Is the city and ours the same level?
No, they're at a lot higher.
Yeah, I was thinking it was a little higher.
We added, I think there's, well, I'm saying, but I think it's way up there, 6, 7. And then so the venue, the voters voted to add 2% to the hotels.
Okay.
And so on that 2%, it's called the venue tax, and that comes directly to, we're the only venue.
Yes.
And so no one else can claim it.
So I think we're on a good path here, and I think even though we only have 3 months of 2025, if you compare those to the first 3 months of the last 5 years, this is what that looks like. And so you'll see there at the top that, you know, compared to October, November, December of last year, I mean, it's really, really even. And so, you know, I think at some point it is going to level out a little, but they are adding rooms. Every month there's something new being built. And so just to kind of show you there what October, November, December looks like and where we're headed this year. So we talk about hotels a lot. Why does it keep doing this? Don't want to forget about our vehicle rental taxes. They have grown tremendously since the beginning of this. And so you'll see there that FY '24, we're at $650,000. And so that's a pretty good chunk of the revenue that is flowing into these funds. The increase from '23 to '24 is a little over 15%. And so I think that's.
Do we have a lot more people flying in to Waco, or why are these rentals?
We can get somebody to probably know. My guess is that because of all the industrial construction that's going on, these people are coming in, professional service type people, and they're the same people that's renting the hotel rooms, but they're renting vehicles as well. And then, so I think that.
And I'd assume too that the rental rates are going up.
Well,
just as
and
car
that-
rates are, so that
true.
then also plays into that. But
That's a good point.
But I think it's both double-sided.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And for FY '25, again, just looking at, we only have October, November, December so far, but that is right on where we were October, November, December of this last year. So I think we should, just based on those first 3 months, have a very similar year this year. And so then talking about obligations to other entities. So obligations to the city of Waco and Waco ISD. So we entered into our 3-party agreement in 2021. And so we are to satisfy our obligations with them by giving them 25% of our annual surplus at the end of each calendar year. So in that top box, you'll see in the top line, the original amounts that were due to each, the 3.75 and the 2.475. To date, that second line is the payments we have made, and then the bottom is what we owe right now and going forward. The date on the left side where it says due February 2024, that should say 2025. So that's currently what we owe right now before we make any payments this month.
So we're around 3.3 million?
Yes,
somewhere-
sir.
so three-
Yes, sir.
Something like that,
Yes,
close. And that's all we owe them?
Correct.
Wow. okay.
Correct. And so again, to get to that surplus amount, we literally take tax revenue, back out debt service, and that's how we come up with our calendar year surplus. So the surplus is calculated on the calendar year, not our fiscal year. We push 25% to each, and then we hold, per the agreement, 50% within the county's venue project.
And that construction fund, that venue project construction fund, can only be used on the venue portion of.
Correct.
Fairway.
So any of this money that flows in through this fund can only be used for this purpose, and we can't use any outside funds, other local funds, for the venue project either. So it needs
We
to
sold
stay
this to
very
the
pure.
taxpayers that they wouldn't be paying any local tax to it. We can only use this, so that's our pledge and we can't violate it.
Right,
Yeah.
sure.
So to sum up, calendar year '24, and again, calendar year, so these numbers will look a little different than when we were looking at fiscal year. For calendar year, you'll see there that total taxes, we came about 3.5 million in total. Or backing off our debt service, that gave us our surplus revenue over debt service of 1.6 million. And so then just literally breaking it out, 25, 25, 50%, those numbers at the bottom are the amounts that's how we would break up the surplus per the agreement. And so you'll see there to the city and ISD, they would get $401,566.99 each. And that is what we are tied to based on our agreement.
What's that 803, 133.98 that goes back to the venue fund? What is the total of it now?
Yeah, what's it built up to?
I'll show you, I have it here in a second, I'll show you.
Okay, okay.
Yes, where that one is at. And then just to play off, if you take that first column that we just looked at, these are actual numbers set in concrete. If you move it forward through calendar year '27, and these are just estimates, of course, but if we stay on the same trajectory, I think this is pretty conservative. But you'll see there that middle section, surplus revenue over debt service, and you'll see how our surplus will grow a little bit over the next few years. And then at the bottom, you'll see the surplus broken out in the way the agreement is worded right now. We will based on this and of course this estimate, we would pay off the obligation to the city after calendar year 2027. We would pay off the obligation to the school district calendar year 2025. So that's just keeping to estimated tax revenues. If, if we keep to the 25%, you'll see that once the ISD falls off, the agreement is worded that we would move up the 25% from the one entity to the other. So we're paying them 50%.
Starts accelerating.
Correct.
Correct.
And we're contractually not allowed to pay that off early with any other funds, is that right?
I would say not any other funds, but I'm going to show you some scenarios here in a sec that we could alter this sum if you choose to. And then, like you asked, looking at those two funds. So the top box, this is the construction fund. So currently, as of today, we have right under 1.5 million. And it is getting some interest revenue, of course. But the one source of revenue flow that will happen after this conversation today, you'll see there in yellow or orange, we'll make that 50% transfer of the surplus to the county construction fund. So after that is approved today, then we would be sitting right at 2.3 million in the construction fund. And then the bottom box, the debt service fund, we currently have right under 3.2 million. Once we move the amount, the surplus amount out, the three amounts for us and the other two entities. We also have to withhold some that we've already withheld each month for debt service. That leaves us with a fund balance right at $1 million. And I know that Commissioner Jones, you were asking about this earlier in the meeting. Where are we at with having to hold a certain amount in debt service? And we've talked about this with Mark McCliney, our financial advisor. And he's told us, you're good. You don't have to have a set amount in there. We've left this amount sitting. Personally, from my perspective, I think it's good to have a little bit of cushion in there. It covers about, probably 60% of an annual debt service payment. So I just think sometimes that's wise to have that in a debt service fund. But that amount is available if needed. We could move more of that into the construction fund.
We met our obligation. That requirement was early on, just as kind of a credit enhancement piece.
And I just think,
Revenue bonds are always going to have more risk than general obligation.
I mean, we had COVID come and who would have thought we would have had that. So, so that's just personally my recommendation.
That's a risk,
But it is there and it's sitting there and we can move that by just action of the court.
Okay, so venue project debt service fund. The construction fund will have 2.2, almost 2.3 million in it at the end. And then on top of the debt service fund, okay. That makes sense. Oh.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your thoughts there. So Commissioner, you were, so yes, so you, after that transferred made, we'd have 2.3 and a little over $1 million.
Which is about $1 million short of what our total obligation is to the two entities.
That's correct.
And what can that 2.3 million be used for in the construction fund?
So I think, and I would, want to get Dustin or Mike to weigh on this, as far as the venue project paperwork goes. But you should be able to use it on any project that is related to the land that is defined as the venue project.
The surveyed out
Yes.
venue project?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, like even though we could, there may be
I mean, it's
little
basically
land work,
everything.
little
but-
dirt work or this and that might need to happen. And we could use that as long as it's in that venue specific area.
Is that parking area over there, the dirt parking lot that I was talking about,
Where the old tower used to be?
where the old tower, is that in the venue or not?
The tower we just took down.
I haven't looked at that map in a while.
I don't know.
I asked that same question about a year ago.
I always rely on Dustin to get off the map.
Yeah, I thought it was my idea that it be in it, but I don't know whether I pushed it enough to get that, because it was gonna be land that was gonna be available that we didn't know was gonna be available early on. So,
Well, it'd be nice if it was in, you know,
Yeah.
and that way we could move forward with that.
What about the Midway area? Is that considered in the venue there?
yeah.
Is-
Oh, the venue? No.
No.
I mean, yeah, the carnival area is not.
It's part of the old HOT.
Yeah, and so that's where, and so the carnival vendor paid to put chip seal on all of that.
Yeah, but it's
And then they-
in a little disrepair now. I don't know. if
Yeah, it's gonna have to be,
Something's gonna have to be, because
Yeah.
because there's some issues there when I went there, you know, a month ago or so.
yeah.
I did want to point out something else about the use of the construction fund. The question was, what else could you use that for? I think another thing is important to keep in mind is that the base now, each year, it's going to have more and more repair
So,
and maintenance type expenditures.
Repair and maintenance can go to, of the base building, can go,
Yes, what we've determined.
come from the construction fund?
Yes, we've determined
Okay,
that that's the only place that it should come from.
Okay, good.
So if, something breaks, or it's just gonna happen, it's a big building and things are gonna happen, that those costs should only come here. And when we've had those, usually Wes Allison and his group will bring those forward, we'll bring them to you, and we'll do a budget amendment within that construction fund, just so it's very clear on what those funds have been approved for and have been
We've made
used
some
for.
modifications. You remember the sound system, the computer, it was
Yes,
all amended.
yes.
Didn't AC already go out?
There was, seemed like something on that, but sound.
That'll just continue, that's the nature of
Yeah,
having a building like that, and so just something to keep in mind. I know sometimes those repair and maintenance costs can get pretty high pretty quick, so.
Parking lot by the new high school, that's gonna come back to us, right?
parking lot by the new high school.
Yeah, across the street from the high school
Where Lake Air was, Little League?
No, there's.
Oh, no.
Side
no.
street, the side
Yeah,
store there.
the side, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's ours.
42nd and Cold
I mean,
Court.
it's ours now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can redo all that if, you know.
If we want. We've had it all along, but,
Yeah.
the school started using it.
Yes, sir.
And
Oh,
this
sure.
is back, a while ago, but we were gonna try to establish we were gonna need that, and they said, no, you're not gonna get it. But since then, new superintendents and all that were reasonable. So in our new agreement, when we did the swap for the land and we gave them, some money to do these projects, we still owe them for it, but we obligated. Then we cleared that issue up in the document.
Who it belonged to.
Yes, sir.
So what,
So I was gonna.
we have to approve that swap today? What do we need to approve?
Yes,
today?
so I just need you to tell me what amount you are wanting to transfer, and I have included, of course, the 25%. That's what we are.
Is that what that amount, that
contractually-
401?
Yes, sir. So we'll
566.99?
transfer that
Is what you're recommending?
both entities. And I just wanted to kind of show you some scenarios wrapped around that surplus and those percentages. So this is the page I just passed out to you. So the top shaded in blue, and I have it pulled up as well, that's just what we pulled, I had that on the PowerPoint. So that's current year, what we would be obligated for, and then moving forward for the next 4 years based on estimates. So you'll see there at the bottom blue shade, where we have fully paid off the city, we've fully paid off Waco ISD, and then we would end up with 4.1 million in surplus that would come back to our construction fund. On the next section that's in green, if we were to move that 25% up to 35%, so if we were to give the city 35%, Waco ISD 35%, and we kept 30, you'll see there at the bottom that we would complete our obligation to the city calendar year 26, and then Waco ISD next year, 2025.
But the total surplus stays the same?
Yes, yes. And this is just based on the estimates. It's just how do you allocate it? Do you push more surplus to the other
Okay, I
entities
see what
or
you're
retain it here?
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay.
And I think that depends on how you want, what your plan is to spend the construction funds. And then the very bottom one is very extreme, but just to see what it looks like if we were just to give 50-50, if we were not to retain any of that surplus, and we would pay them both off after calendar year 25. So a year from now, if the estimates stay good, then a year from now, we would be extinguishing both of those debts.
Well, that seems awful tempting, but
I just wanted you to just have a glance at what that would look like.
Yeah,
And, today, if you want to stick with the 25%, and then if we want to track it over some months, or if, more plans come to fruition on.
No prepayment penalties?
No prepayment penalties.
Now, they gave, when COVID hit, we said, I don't know whether we're gonna be able to meet these obligations.
Yeah, right.
They gave us a note, 0 interest.
It's been a good.
And so, we're earning money on our cash, and we're not paying any interest for our debt. But if you look at it, that they were kind enough to help us out, it's not all financial. Part of it is being good neighbors and friends and relationships. So it's whatever, any of these scenarios will work.
I'm certainly not opposed to any of them, but I kind of lean toward the idea of improving the venue out there with some of that money, that, whether it be parking
Well,
or
I mean,
anything,
we're
would
gonna,
be
yeah, I
great.
mean, we're
We'll
gonna.
still have money.
I mean, we're looking at, now, is there something in there, though, that says we can't do any other projects until we get this paid off?
It's in there, but they gave us, so we wanted to do, all that
remember
parking
that.
lot back there,
Uh-huh.
we got a exception to the rule. They allowed us to take money and improve that parking back there and put some, aggregate on it and those kind of things, so they could.
The Paul Tyson Golf Course?
Yeah, and so, we're not supposed to spend any money till we pay off the debt, these two, but they said, no,
Okay.
y'all need to do
That would be, so that changes everything. I mean,
Yeah.
to me, that changes a
It's
lot.
just, they're just really flexible on that.
Right, yeah. I mean, if we wanted to accelerate the development of that area, if that would accelerate the development of those two
Yeah,
spots, then
yeah, and then,
all for it,
right,
since it's in my precinct.
yeah, that's right.
Is it appropriate to try to identify some things to
I
put
think they
concrete
are.
to look at?
I mean, that's what this is,
Yeah.
that's what they're
That's what they're
that's what
doing
they're talking
long
about.
term, but I was talking about like paving.
Well,
Well,
there is a project, and I'll have to get back with them on this, but, it has to do with more surface parking and those
Surface
kind of
work,
things
yeah.
that they may need to do before because when we take on this additional project, it's gonna be significant in cost and all. We're gonna have to look at how we refinance
yeah,
everything.
you'll have to,
Because you have to pay off your old debt. Or negotiate some way in there where McLeany will help us, get through all of that, but,
you essentially would be borrowing more against your
Yeah.
current your future surplus.
that's right.
I'd love to. Motion,
Yes, sir. So which one do you wanna do?
amount that's recommended under Q2, $401,566,099 to both the city of Waco and Waco ISD.
Okay. That's what color is that one? That's the blue?
Blue.
Okay. All right, there's a motion to approve the blue. Second, and we can always come back later on.
Sure we could.
Anytime during the year.
Sure we could.
Evaluate it.
Sure we
So
could.
got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. And then I think probably a good time is during the late spring or real early summer is we relook at this. We get also a report from the Waco Convention Tourism Bureau about what they see and rates and all the questions that were asked today. It'd be a good time to look at all that. All right, is there anything else, Mercedes, anything else? We got everything?
Yeah, we covered everything.
Okay, all right. It seemed like All right, if there's not anything to come before court, we stand adjourned.
I was impressed when he said that that venue is totally booked out.
Recording stopped.
It has been.
Definitely.